What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 9 Mick. Chapter 221 Yu vs Uchiha Madara. In Uchiha Madara, who is located in the world of pirates, a flash of light flashed across the eyes of the Rinnegan, and her mouth opened wide. What are those unknown energy groups in the sky? Simply detecting them can make people feel fear. Uchiha Madara swallowed his own throat, he said incredulously. This was the first time, other than Hashirama, that someone had made Madara feel what fear was. No. Even Senju Hashirama, the first Hokage bug, never made me feel such a terrifying feeling. Yu gave me a more terrifying feeling than Senju Hashirama. This kid, who looks carefree and harmless to humans and animals. Who is he? Madara was completely messy this time. The pirates of the Whitebeard pirates all had smiles on their faces. Ha 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 ha, I think people in that Hokage world are also watching this game. I wonder what they will think after seeing Yu's performance. Kuhahaha. Whitebeard laughed boldly at the sky. Golden Lion Shiki also laughed. Not to mention these guys from another world, even I, the Golden Lion Shiki, was shocked for a long time after tasting Yu's terrifying power for the first time. Ha ha ha. Garp, Sengoku, Cyborg Kong, and the other marines all smiled, even though they had been enemies with Yu before. But after they saw Mu's true face, they realized that their previous lives were all wrong, and now they are more inclined to protect Yu. Moreover, Yu is fighting for the space of their pirate world at the moment. How can they not support Yu? Come on, Yu. Let the bullshit Martian world see how powerful we are. The previous marine prisoners now began to cheer for Yu one by one. Kaido and Big Mom also grinned and laughed. Ha ha ha, let this thick eyebrow have a good taste of Yu's terror. Kaido of the 100 Beasts said with a smirk. The scene when he was beaten to death by Yu reappeared in Kaido's mind again. At that time, I faced Yu's terrifying sense of oppression, and the fear that came from the deepest part of my heart is still vivid in my mind. Now looking at the confused and shocked Akai with a strange expression, Kaido felt very happy. Finally someone can understand what they felt back then. Above the dual field, above the sky, Conquerors condensed into shape, and a huge human-shaped palm suddenly appeared in the sky. He slapped Akai heavily, and the surrounding energy previously driven by Akai became chaotic under this blow, which was like the palm of Tathagata. The red steaming flame aura before Akai was also shocked and completely dissipated under the residual power of this palm. Akai's previous sprinting pace also suddenly stopped. He looked at the giant palm above his head with a blank expression, and was so frightened that he couldn't move. What kind of terrifying energy is this? You can actually defeat the energy of my 8 Gates Dunjia just by relying on residual power. Akai muttered with a look of shock on his face. This even somewhat subverted Akai's 3 views. He never thought that his 8 Gates Dunjia would malfunction one day. Judging from the appearance of the kid in front of me, he probably doesn't exercise much on weekdays, but he can reach such a terrifying state. Could it be said that working hard in front of genius is really worthless? This reminded Akai of his past years. He had put in so much effort to catch up with Kakashi. Now he has become proficient in 8 Gates Dunjia and can surpass Kakashi, but once again, he lost to another genius from another world. For a moment, Akai felt mixed emotions in his heart. It took a lot of effort for him to achieve what he has achieved today. How could he fail again? Yu, I must defeat you. Akai's fighting spirit regained and he rushed towards Yu. Red steam began to appear in Akai's body desperately. This was a move that cost his life. If he couldn't defeat Yu even in this way, then Akai would definitely die of depression. Yu raised his eyebrows slightly. Akai was quite capable, and he was able to regain some consciousness under the pressure of his conquerors. This alone is worthy of praise. People in the Hokage world saw Akai's renewed fighting spirit, and everyone cheered for Akai. Kakashi even recalled the time he spent with Akai. He has witnessed Akai's growth step by step with his own eyes. No matter what kind of opponent he is, Kakashi believes that Akai can win the final victory. Come on, Kai, release your youth to your heart's content. Kakashi also shouted loudly to Kai in the sky. So Akai stepped on the air under his feet, roared and rushed towards the sky quickly. Under Akai's impact, the ground under his feet directly formed a huge crater with a depth of 1,000 meters. This scene directly shocked the people at the scene. Uzumaki Naruto even opened his mouth wider and kept swallowing his saliva. This is great, Teacher Nongmei, you are indeed good. Uzumaki Naruto jumped up and shouted loudly. However, Naruto's mouth just opened, but it closed again in the end. The scene in front of him made Uzumaki Naruto completely realize what true power is. On the arena, Yu casually swatted Akai, who had been lively just now, like a fly, and was swatted directly towards the ground. Just the moment he came into contact with Yu's terrifying conquerors, Akai could clearly feel the terrifying power. Under that irresistible force, Akai's 8 Gates Dunjia seemed to have no effect at all, and was directly hit without the ability to fight back. Akai's eye mask became extremely pale, all his teeth were shattered directly in front of the huge force, and the bones in his body were also fractured due to the terrifying side effects of 8 Gates Dunjia. Compared with this, the most important thing is the fear that comes from the deepest part of Akai's heart. This feeling of fear is the most extreme fear that he has experienced in his brave life. This feeling, it's the first time I've tasted it. The only ones with such terrifying power are gods. This kid, he is not a human, he is a god. Akai gritted his teeth and said in shock. And Akai's body, like a kite with a broken string, hit the ground heavily, and the place where he was about to hit was a huge mountain. There was no doubt that Akai, who had been seriously injured at this time, if it had received such a terrifying blow, it would have been scrapped on the spot. Akai, Teacher Kai. For a moment, Shaoli, Naruto, Kakashi and others in the Hokage world began to call Akai's name eagerly. Dong dong dong. At this time, the sound of the space-time pendulum rang again. A ray of light appeared, and when Akai was about to touch the ground, he suddenly stopped in place. Immediately afterwards, yellow power passed over Akai's body. The damage Akai had suffered before returned to its previous state under this energy. Akai felt his body strangely. This time he had really walked away from the gate of hell. At this time, the sound of the space-time pendulum rang again. Congratulations, the winner this time is Yi Yu. Metkai from the Hokage world, failed. The sound of the pendulum of time and space rang. People in the pirate world still looked calm. They had long been used to Yi Yu's victory. And Akai was directly transported back to the Hokage world by the mysterious power. Akai, how are you? People in the Hokage world asked anxiously. Akai looked around, straightened his expression, and looked serious. I'm fine, but that guy is too powerful. Akai said seriously. That guy named Yi Yu. Kakashi looked solemn. And because Madara did not experience Akai's despair personally, the pride of being an Uchiha came over her. You're just making excuses for yourself. I thought you were so strong, but you couldn't even beat a kid. Sure enough, you are still too deformed. Madara smiled teasingly at Akai. Akai clenched his fists and roared at Madara. You guy, you don't understand his terror. Only gods can do this. Akai roared loudly. God. Madara narrowed her eyes and thought for a while. If you say you are a god, you can only be called a god by yourself, right? At this time, the sound of the time-space pendulum in the sky rang again. Now, I announce the next challenger of the Hokage world. Uzumaki Naruto and Uchiha Madara. Gulu. Uzumaki Naruto kept swallowing the saliva in his mouth, and it turned out to be his and Uchiha Madara's names. I will definitely win this battle. Naruto roared loudly and activated his Nine Tails mode. At this time, Madara walked towards Naruto and smiled slightly at Naruto. Leave this battle to me, Naruto, you are no match for him. Madara said jokingly to Naruto. Madara's appearance surprised everyone around him. No one thought that Madara would choose to participate in this battle. Feeling the eyes of the people around her, Madara showed a look of disdain towards the people around her. HMPH, don't think I'm doing it for you. I'm doing it to see how powerful Yi Yu is. You can actually make this guy Akai become a god willingly. This is so ridiculous. No matter what world it is, there is only one true god, and that is me, Six Paths Madara. Madara said to the people around her. Who would let you go? Naruto yelled at Madara. But at this time, Kakashi on the side immediately grabbed Naruto. Naruto, don't talk. At this time, the only person who is most suitable to fight Yi Yu is Madara. Kakashi said with a serious look. Kakashi-sensei. Uzumaki Naruto moved his lips slightly, and finally stopped. Teacher Kakashi is right. At this time, the strongest among them must be Uchiha Madara. Only Uchiha Madara going up to fight would be their safest choice. Uchiha Madara smiled slightly at Naruto, and then slowly spoke to the time and space pendulum in the sky. I, Uchiha Madara, choose to fight. In an instant, surging domineering energy appeared directly, and 4 black shadows appeared around Madara, all of which were in an invisible form. The next moment, Uchiha Madara was transferred directly to the duel field. As the winner, Yi Yu will naturally face the challenge from Uchiha Madara. The duel begins. Facing Yi Yu, Madara directly surrounded herself with her own wheel screen, and rushed towards Yi Yu one by one. After seeing Yi Yu's terrifying power, Uchiha Madara realized that he might not be Yi Yu's opponent if he met head-on, so Uchiha Madara chose to sneak attack Yi Yu through the wheel screen. And Uchiha Madara also used his Six Paths power, which is a move that Madara has not shown in the Hokage world. In an instant, the entire sky became dark. The entire land reflected was groggy, and the atmosphere was very depressing. Even the powerful men in the pirate world began to lament the terror of Uchiha's power. This guy used Fujitori's move. The people in the marine also started talking loudly. General candidate, Fujitora noticed something strange in the sky with a smile, and opened his mouth wide. Sure enough, the move of summoning meteorites in the sky was exactly the same as what he had imagined. Could it be that this guy also knows how to use gravity? It's just, this guy's ability seems to be much stronger than mine. The hugeness of this meteorite is unacceptable. General candidate Fujitora smiled, and instantly felt his scalp numb. It was unimaginable for me to be able to use the gravity fruit to this extent. Even on the ground, the appearance of this huge meteorite created a huge attraction. A large amount of sawdust and stones were directly attracted and sucked into the sky. It is unimaginable that if this terrifying meteorite really hits a person, it will crush him into a bird-like shape. It's a pity that his opponent is Yi Yu. General Fujitora said with a wry smile. If it were any one of Marine, Fujitora would definitely be crushed into a meat pie with a smile. What a pity, it's Yi Yu. In front of Yi Yu, all abilities are in vain. People in the Hokage world have been ecstatic at this time. I didn't expect that Uchiha Madara, that guy, could use the power of 6 paths to do this trick. I don't know how many times more terrifying than the meteorite he summoned in his same form. What a terrifying opponent we are facing. If he uses this move on us, we really may not be able to resist it. Kakashi said with a shocked expression. This move may be of some use to that guy named Yi Yu. Gara Gara of Sand Falls narrowed his eyes and murmured. Uzumaki Naruto and Haruno Sakura also showed excited eyes. Although they were enemies with Uchiha Madara before, now they are facing a common enemy from another world. At this moment, they are still on Uchiha Madara's side. Just as people in the Hokage world were watching the battle between Yi Yu and Uchiha Madara with excitement. Yi Yu smiled slightly at Uchiha Madara. This harmless smile actually frightened Madara. This brat Yi Yu seems to be absolutely confident in the face of my attack. Uchiha Madara thought uneasily in her heart. The next moment, a huge fist rushed towards the sky. Uchiha Madara also relied on the power of the Rinnegan, and was able to barely see Yi Yu's invisible Conqueror's giant fist. Such a huge power, Uchiha Madara said breathlessly. The next moment, the huge Conqueror's giant fist hit Uchiha Madara's meteorite hard. The meteorite that was still surging before was now smashed into pieces under this terrifying force. Pieces of stones fell from the sky. Fortunately, we were in a dual field, so these fragments would not splash down on the world. Otherwise, these fragments alone could directly kill tens of thousands of ordinary humans in the world. People. Uchiha Madara's eyes widened. He couldn't believe the scene in front of him. This was the meteorite that he had attracted by integrating the power of 6 paths. He didn't expect that it would be so vulnerable. Uchiha Madara straightened his expression. It was okay. He attacked the wheel screen. At this time, his wheel screen was about to arrive. Uchiha Madara swallowed a mouthful of saliva, feeling very excited. As long as his wheel screen is close to Yi Yu's body, I believe that Yi Yu will definitely be killed by him. This is the charm of ninja. In a hidden corner, 4 figures were running towards Yi Yu at great speed. Even the pirates who have the ability to see and hear are difficult to detect the existence of the wheel tomb for a while. But Yi Yu can clearly perceive these things. Chapter 222 The Frog in the Well. Uchiha Madara. These wheel tombs Madara are located within Conqueror's range, and their locations are completely within Yi Yu's control. Every move they made was clearly sensed by Yi Yu's Conqueror's perception. But Yi Yu didn't take any action. For no other reason, these wheel curtains cannot cause any, even a little bit of harm to oneself. Why should I care about these little tricks? The truth-seeking ball of the main body Madara turned directly into black rods and threw them towards Yi Yu at great speed. Forming a perfect coordination with Madara's wheel screen, these attacks attacked Yi Yu at the same instant. People in the Hokage world sighed for a while. They suffered a lot from this attack. If these black sticks can be inserted into Yi Yu's body, I believe that even a powerful opponent like Yi Yu will be controlled. After all, these terrifying black sticks can suppress even tailed beasts. If Madara goes out to join the battle, it might really be possible to win the final victory. That's right, this Uchiha Madara used to be able to fight against our entire ninja world with one person's power before. Now he is indeed the strongest person in our ninja world. Facing Uchiha Madara's attacks, Yi Yu remained calm. The next moment, Madara's eyes flashed with shock. I never thought that all my attacks would be in vain. His own wheel tomb sensed Yi Yu's Conqueror's defensive shield in advance, and his black rod was shattered on the spot after touching Yi Yu's Conqueror's defensive shield. This, Uchiha Madara is completely messed up. Yi Yu hasn't attacked yet, but just by relying on the simple rebound force, his own attack has been shattered. How can you let yourself play with this? Akai, who was in the Hokage world, narrowed his eyes. He was very familiar with the Conqueror's defensive shield. Not only was my taijutsu unable to break through its defense, but even that guy Uchiha Madara's truth-seeking ball was completely ineffective. Who is this guy named Yohane? Kakashi's blood chakra eye opened on the side and he was constantly analyzing Yi Yu's abilities. However, he knew that there was too little about Yi Yu's abilities, so he could not analyze any abilities at all. All I know is that this is one of the absolute defenses. Gara, who claims to have absolute defense, fell into infinite shock after seeing the scene in front of him. Compared with Yi Yu's absolute defense, my absolute defense is simply a joke. Gara shook his head and said with a helpless smile. Uzumaki Naruto even touched his head with his hand and stared blankly at the scene in front of him. I never thought that such a terrifying guy would exist in this world. Damn it, I only blame myself for being too weak. If Madara fails, who in this world can stop Yi Yu? If Madara fails, I, Naruto, am willing to risk my life and defeat Yi Yu with my own hands. After all the series of attacks failed, Madara's face became more solemn. Mere ninjutsu attacks and physical skills cannot break this boy's defense. What kind of weird ninjutsu can do this? Worthy of being the top ninja in the ninja world, Uchiha Madara was not discouraged immediately after facing Yohane's terrifying performance. Instead, she calmly analyzed it. After a series of analyses by Uchiha Madara, Madara decided to absorb Yohane's ninjutsu. At the same time, a huge Conqueror's giant fist also formed in the sky. Madara used the power of the Samsara Eye to see more or less its outline. So Madara raised her hands to the sky, preparing to absorb Yi Yu's ninjutsu power. Seeing this familiar scene, the solemn expressions on the faces of people in the Hokage world began to relax a little. They are very familiar with Madara's ability. Under the power of absorption in 6 paths, they suffered a lot at the beginning. Madara, you must win this time. People from the Hokage world cheered to Madara. However, Shikamaru's brow suddenly frowned. No, Madara may not be able to absorb abilities from another world. Shikamaru widened his eyes and said with a shocked expression. After hearing Shikamaru's words, the people around them all looked at Madara on the duel field. In the arena, Madara was also confused at this time. Her ability to absorb ninjutsu has actually failed. Or is it that you simply cannot absorb this ability? And, what is going on with this horrible sense of oppression? I have been in this ninja world for so many years, but have I ever tasted fear? For a moment, this proud guy suddenly became angry. The power of 6 paths was blessed on his body, and a complete 6 paths Susanoo appeared. Under the huge body, the ground trembled violently with every step, and Madara also pulled out her saber from her waist and struck at Yu's Conqueror's giant fist. Under the power of Susanoo, the power of 6 paths, Madara directly slashed out a terrifying slash. Under this slash, the air in the entire sky was rubbed, creating one after another, of sparks. A majestic momentum appeared, carrying the power of rolling the world, impacting and colliding with Conqueror's giant fist. There was a loud bang. Conqueror's giant fist collided with the slash, but there was only a stalemate, and Conqueror's giant fist struck Uchiha Madara again. After seeing this, Yu showed a slightly disdainful look. Do you want to dance too? Uchiha Madara, Yu said mischievously. Do I want to dance too? Uchiha Madara is completely confused. Isn't this my own mantra? Now it's being used by the kid in front of me. In front of this brat, his dignified Uchiha Madara was like a piece of grass. Uchiha Madara instantly felt that he had been greatly humiliated. Are you kidding me? I'm Uchiha Madara, Madara said unconvinced. However, facing Yu's majestic Conqueror's giant fist in the sky, Madara was really at her wit's end. After Madara's sword energy was dispersed by Yohane's giant fist, the huge fist hit the complete Susanoo transformed by Uchiha Madara. There was a loud bang. Uchiha Madara's complete Susanoo was directly blocked from the waist and blasted into 2 halves. You can even hear the sound of Madara's complete 6 paths Susanoo's bones breaking. When people in the Hokage world saw this scene, they were completely shocked. Are you kidding? Uchiha Madara was killed instantly. As that kid named Yohane a pervert. Uchiha Madara, who single-handedly fought against our entire ninja world, actually, was killed instantly like this. Are all people from other worlds so scary? No. It shouldn't be said that people from another world are scary. Aren't the pineapple head and the lion head guys from another world before? They can't even beat a Kai. All this can only show that Yu, this careless guy, is really too powerful. Uzumaki Naruto froze on the spot, swallowing his own saliva. The guy in front of me named Yu is so powerful that it's a bit unreasonable. Facing an existence even more terrifying than Uchiha Madara, Uzumaki Naruto only felt a deep sense of powerlessness. Even Uchiha Madara was instantly killed by Yu so easily. In this way, even if they used the power of the entire ninja world, they would definitely not be Yu's opponent. Gaara Sandagawa had the same idea as Yohane. With this terrifying power, even if we use all our strength, I'm afraid we won't be able to do anything to him. Shikamaru, on the other hand, gave up his thinking. Facing an enemy with such a huge gap, he couldn't figure out a strategy for the battle no matter how hard he thought. Faced with such a terrifying opponent, all of us in the Hokage world can only end up with one outcome, and that is to be easily killed by Yu. Shikamaru said helplessly. After seeing Yu's performance, people in the pirate world opened their mouths wide with disbelief on their faces. As this Yu's true power. Gods, only gods can reach such a terrifying state. No wonder Yu defeated Lord Yim directly. With such terrifying power, even if Uranus, Poseidon, and Pluton come together, they will not be Yu's opponent. Fortunately, the people of the Whitebeard pirates were somewhat used to Yu's terror. Those pirates who had only heard about Yu's strength but had not really seen Yu's strength were completely shocked after seeing Yu's strength. Kid in the red-haired pirate group's area widened his eyes and sat down on the ground. His eyes always showed a dull look. Is this Yu's true strength? It's terrifying, it's really terrifying. Even this guy, who had always been unruly, started to tremble with his fingers, and he no longer looked like his usual big brother. The lips of Kira and Apu were also trembling. Facing Yu who was destroying the world with a flip of his hands, they only had awe. In front of Yu, they felt like they were like weeds, and Yu was like the huge mountain peak. In front of this giant Yu, each of them is like a newborn baby, out of reach. At this time, Hawken's words made them completely confused and even a little numb. I just did a divination, and the power Yu released just now is only 1,000th of his true power. Question mark exclamation mark. This time, Kid, Apu and others were completely sluggish, stopped in place, motionless. Even the red-haired Shanks, who was holding the famous sword Griffin's hand, began to tremble. As this Yu's power. I can feel good that the guy named Uchiha Madara just now is not weak at all, and his strength is even far higher than that jarhead, but I never thought that in front of Yu, he could be so easily defeated. Killed instantly. Boss, I'm afraid Yu's strength is more than this. Beckman on the side was holding a cigarette in his hand, shaking his head and muttering. This shocked the people on the sidelines for a long time. The Straw Hat News Luffy and his gang who were in Dressrosa at this time saw the live broadcast in the sky. Every one of them was dumbfounded. Luffy, in particular, looked at Nami, Usopp and the others with a look of disbelief. Now Luffy had some doubts, and what he saw was just an illusion. Is there really someone with such terrifying strength? Wouldn't that mean he would become a god? Zoro, Usopp, Nami, is this guy real? Straw Hat News Luffy's lips trembled, asked incredulously. The strange expression on Zoro's face at this time was no weaker than Luffy's. Being able to defeat IM. In the previous battle with IM, the whole world shook. This guy who can do this is definitely real. The tobacco from the cigarette in Sanji's mouth began to slip. Facing such a terrifying guy, he felt a deep sense of powerlessness. Nami even collapsed on the ground, her big white legs exposed, and her face was shocked. With the existence of such a terrifying guy, we will never reach the top of this world. This guy is really scary. The revolutionary army group located in the Holy Land Marijoya, faced with such a terrifying scene, could not fall into peace for a long time. The shock Yi Yu gave them was too terrifying. The revolutionary long suffered even greater damage. Originally I thought that after I destroyed all the lairs in Holy Land Marijoa, I wouldn't be much different from Yi Yu. But looking at it now, even if I were given 10 lifetimes, I would never be able to surpass such a terrifying guy as Yi Yu. The key point is that the devil Yi Yu is still a young man. This is so sad. The revolutionary Long kept shaking his head. Compared with Yi Yu, his title as the most vicious criminal in the world was just like a joke. On the arena, the powerful air flow flew crazily around in an instant. Suddenly, the entire land was filled with flying sand and rocks. Even the ground under Uchiha Madara's feet had a huge crater. It was hard to believe that this huge crater was only caused by strong airflow. At this time, the time and space pendulum in the sky finally started its own rescue. Some mysterious lights appeared and successfully rescued Uchiha Madara. After being rescued, Uchiha Madara was still a little confused. What happened? What happened just now? What on earth is this ninjutsu? Uchiha Madara said in a roaring voice to Yi Yu who was flying high in the air. Yi Yu looked at Uchiha Madara with contempt in the sky. The frog in the well. This is not a ninjutsu, this thing is called Conquerors. Yi Yu said to Uchiha Madara very pretentiously. Conquerors. Uchiha Madara who heard this was stunned for a moment, wondering why he had never heard of such a thing before. Another world is really wonderful. However, the next moment, the pendulum of time and space sent Uchiha Madara to the world of Hokage. The vicissitudes of the time and space clock came again. The winner is Yohane from the pirate world. Chapter 223 Meteorite from the sky, unable to resist Yi Yu in the slightest. The next competition begins. Everyone in the Hokage world looked nervous. Even Uchiha Madara was easily defeated by Yi Yu. Now in the entire ninja world, who else can fight? People in the Hokage world, including the shadows from various countries in this world, were all dejected. They already know Yi Yu's terrifying strength. Even Uchiha Madara cannot shake it. Who in their entire ninja world can defeat Yi Yu? Now they are all staring at each other, waiting for the time and space pendulum to call their names, and then go up to kill Yi Yu. What should I do? Naruto, if we continue to lose, our world will lose. Haruno Sakura came to Naruto and said worriedly. A-hole. Even if it costs me my life, I must protect our world. Naruto Uzumaki clenched his fist tightly and shouted loudly. It's useless. Your strength is nothing compared to Yi Yu. Uchiha Madara on the side looked disdainfully at Naruto. He had personally experienced Yi Yu's power and had fought against Uzumaki Naruto, so he naturally knew the gap between the two. What did you say, Madara? Naruto roared loudly at Madara. But Madara didn't seem to hear, and instead asked Uzumaki Naruto. Am I right, Naruto? This sentence made Uzumaki Naruto unable to refute. Sometimes you can achieve your goals without working hard. The shock that Yi Yu brought to them was too huge. If that doesn't work, I can reincarnate myself in dirty soil, and maybe a dozen more. At this time, Orochimaru also started to speak. There is no other way. Now everyone is placing their last hope on the reincarnation of the dirty land. The pendulum of time and space above the sky made a sound, and finally announced the candidates for the competition. Hokage world contestants, Orochimaru, and Sage of Six Paths. As soon as these words came out, the people around him completely exploded. What? Did I hear it right? Sage of Six Paths. Isn't Sage of Six Paths the originator of ninjas in our world? It's because of him that we created the world of ninjas. Sage of Six Paths, there will be no one except that Lord. He is a legendary figure. Is he going to appear now? Even Kakashi, Five Shadows, Naruto and Sasuke all opened their mouths completely. Uchiha Madara was even more shocked. Isn't the realm he dreamed of reaching the realm of Sage of Six Paths? Yes, it is possible. This time it is not just our ninja world versus the pirate world, it is our entire Hokage world versus the outside world. It's still possible to send Sage of Six Paths. Shikamaru regained hope and looked excited. At this moment, a ray of light appeared, and an old man meditating appeared in front of the people in the Hokage world. Once it appears, it can produce powerful natural power. The surrounding ninjas looked at the old man one by one. This is Sage of Six Paths, it's unmistakable. I can feel the energy on his body. It's so terrifying. If it were Sage of Six Paths, it would really be possible to defeat Yi Yu. Naruto Sasuke walked up to Sage of Six Paths. Naruto looked shocked. Are you really Sage of Six Paths? Naruto asked inquiringly. Sage of Six Paths controlled the power of yin and yang, stroked his beard with his hand, and spoke slowly. Yes, I am Sage of Six Paths. I already know about you. It seems that now is the time for me to take action. Otherwise, no one can stop this terrifying guy Yi Yu. Sage of Six Paths looked solemn. After Sage of Six Paths said these words, he was also sent directly to the duel field. The other people cheered for a while. Sage of Six Paths has always been regarded as the creator god in the Hokage world. Suddenly, the confidence of people in the entire Hokage world skyrocketed again. Let the world of pirates see the power of the real creator god of our world. This must be an exciting showdown. Even the people in the pirate world looked slightly solemn when they saw the expressions of people in the Hokage world calling Sage of Six Paths the God Queen. The god of their world. Will he be as powerful as I am? Marco narrowed his eyes and murmured. The people around also showed a slightly worried look. The reason why they were worried about Yi Yu's battle before was because Yi Yu was a godlike existence in their hearts. It is impossible to lose to an ordinary human being. But this time, the person Yi Yu faced was different. He was a guy with the title of God. This time, the pendulum of time and space also began to play the previous video of Sage of Six Paths. In the blink of an eye, the entire mountain was moved, and in the battle with Otsutsuki Kagaya, she used various weird ninjutsu. It shuttles back and forth in space, possessing the ability to instantly turn people into ashes. Being called the god of creation by people in the Hokage world is definitely not a deserved name. White-bearded Edward Newgate even showed a hint of worry. According to the pattern of dueling enemies, I think they are getting stronger and stronger. This guy called Sage of Six Paths is very likely to be on the same level as Yi Yu. Garp and Sengoku looked at each other. Now that the plot has developed to this point, it is beyond their imagination. Now they are completely powerless to deal with the current situation in the pirate world. The only thing they can do is to pray for Yi Yu to win the final victory. Come on, Yi Yu, you guy. The two old men cheered for Yi Yu. The red-haired Shanks pirates also showed a rare expression of excitement. This guy called Sage of Six Paths is definitely not simple. Before, I never witnessed the battle between Yi Yu and Yi Mu, but now I can appreciate the battle between Yi Yu and Sage of Six Paths. A battle of this level only happens once in 1,000 years. A domineering aura emerged from red-haired Shank's body. The sparks from the cigarette in Beckman's mouth also stopped. Isn't it a battle of this level? It would be nice to be able to witness it in my lifetime. The revolutionary Long of the Holy Land Marie Joa is also excited. Strong people all admire the stronger, and the same goes for his revolutionary Long. After Yi Yu won 2 duels in a row, he also opened his own system. Good guy, winning the battle in the arena will directly increase your Conqueror's volume and Conqueror's growth rate by 10 times. Now, with such a huge Conqueror's base, I am still getting stronger, which is very scary. When Sage of Six Paths entered the arena, he was immediately stunned. He had the power of yin and yang, and his own detection ability was also very powerful. When he first stepped into this battlefield, he had already noticed something was wrong, something very wrong. That brat Yi Yu was much more terrifying than he had imagined, and even more terrifying than he had been in previous battles. UB ********D, did you hide your strength in the previous battle? Sage of Six Paths, who was in the duel field, opened his mouth wide and murmured. I really didn't expect that Yi Yu was just an ordinary mortal, but his strength was even more terrifying than he imagined. A large amount of sweat appeared on Sage of Six Paths' forehead. This terrifying feeling was even more terrifying than when he faced his brother and his mother. I originally thought that my brother and my mother were the most powerful enemies I could face in my life, but I never thought that one day I would appear in this way. Facing a being even more powerful than his brother and mother. Yi Yu soared into the sky and noticed the anomaly in Sage of Six Paths. Yi Yu didn't know much about this Sage of Six Paths in the Hokage world, but judging from this guy's performance, it was obvious that he was much better than Akai and Uchiha Madara. At least Sage of Six Paths can deeply feel his own insignificance when facing himself. As for the two guys, Metkai and Uchiha Madara, they just used a little bit of force, and they felt that they had glimpsed their own strength. In fact, the strength he has shown is just the tip of the iceberg. This Sage of Six Paths' observation skills are quite good. Just as they appeared, 10 meteorites the size of those previously summoned by Madara appeared in the sky and hit Yi Yu heavily. In an instant, the entire sky was filled with thunder and lightning, dark clouds were heavy, and the powerful aura shocked the hearts of people in the entire pirate world. People in the pirate world narrowed their eyes. 10 huge meteorites covered the sky and the sun. Whitebeard had a solemn look on his face. This time, this Sage of Six Paths guy was at least 10 times more powerful than the previous Six Paths Madara. At the first move, there are 10 huge extraterrestrial meteorites, which are much more terrifying and powerful than the floating mountain peaks of the Golden Lion. Just as everyone looked surprised, 10 huge meteorites directly hit the Conqueror's defensive shield around Yi Yu. Waves formed one after another on Conqueror's defensive shield around Yi Yu. The 10 huge meteorites were directly shattered by the impact. Pieces of meteorites slipped from Yi Yu's Conqueror's defensive shield, and finally fell heavily on the ground. Yi Yu narrowed his eyes. Is this guy Sage of Six Paths so stupid? Don't you know that an attack of this level is of no use to him? What a terrifying absolute defense. Sage of Six Paths murmured. The attack just now was just to detect Yi Yu's absolute defense attack range, but he didn't expect that it would be 360 degrees. No dead ends. And the distance is still so far. It seems that to defeat you, I must rely on brute force to break your defense. Sage of Six Paths murmured. At the same time, a shocking thought arose in my heart. I originally thought that such a terrifying defense would have dead ends, but there were no dead ends. This also means that Yu needs to consume a lot of energy to maintain this state. Is this kid a monster? Where does he get so much energy to maintain such a huge absolute defense? The power of Yin and Yang continues to activate, and at the same time, Sage of Six Paths directly activates its own Sage mode. Between the breaths, various natural forces began to gather towards Sage of Six Paths, body. Naruto, who was in the world of Hokage, looked envious after seeing the Sage mode of Sage of Six Paths. As expected of Grandpa Six Paths, he can actually absorb Sage mode in this way. Naruto said excitedly. The method used by Sage of Six Paths to absorb the power of nature is much more terrifying than his own Sage mode. Others didn't understand, so Naruto patiently explained it to everyone. To absorb the essence of heaven and earth, you need to meditate and meditate in order to communicate with nature. In this case, the requirements for the environment will be very strict. It was because of this that I originally developed a method of absorbing energy in a quiet environment through Shadow Clone, and then passing it on to myself. It's just that all this seems a bit immature in front of Six Paths. The Sage of Six Paths mode not only turns on the Sage mode instantly, but what is even more terrifying is that the Sage of Six Paths can directly communicate with nature, thus continuously absorbing natural energy in various environments. In other words, the chakra of Sage of Six Paths will never be exhausted. Naruto said in shock, his eyes widening. Never fade. After hearing Uzumaki Naruto's words, the people around him were completely shocked. They never dreamed that a person could be so terrifying. Doesn't that mean that the final winner must be Sage of Six Paths? With unlimited chakra, it can kill the opponent just by consuming it. Haruno Sakura said loudly. You can't say that. Although Sage of Six Paths' recovery ability is very powerful, it also depends on his chakra usage, as well as his attack and defense. If the attack and defense cannot be improved, no matter how much chakra is used, it will be useless. Shikamaru explained patiently. In terms of attack and defense, can't Sage mode improve all aspects? Haruno Sakura continued questioningly. After saying this, Shikamaru, Kakashi, Gaara Sandagawa and others fell into silence. Although Sage mode looks very powerful to us, we still don't know how it will perform when faced with a battle between gods. Six Paths Sage Jutsu, thousands of miles of fire. Sage of Six Paths after turning on Sage mode, the aura of his body suddenly became dozens of times stronger. Without any seals, Sage of Six Paths just chanted the mantra, and at the same time took out his flame fan and fanned it hard. With the help of this magical weapon, the flames summoned before increased in intensity by dozens of times. In an instant, the huge flame turned into a fire dragon. This fire is the three-flavored true fire. It can burn everything in this world. It can't be used to deal with your absolute defense, Yu. Sage of Six Paths roared loudly. Chapter 224 Sage of Six Paths is confused, conquerors can't absorb it. Look at this terrifying fire dragon. Yu showed a playful expression. This Sage of Six Paths is much stronger than the previous two. This fire dragon alone is hundreds of times more powerful than Ace. Sure enough, Ace in the world of pirates opened his mouth wide. He really couldn't believe that a person playing with fire could reach such a state. If he had this hand, he would definitely not have missed in the battle with Blackbeard. Kid, who was in the red-haired pirate group's area, was shocked when he saw this horrific scene. Yu's opponents are each stronger than the last, and he is completely like an ant. Just imagine, if you were to fight Sage of Six Paths, you would probably be killed instantly. In an instant, huge flames burned crazily around Yu's Conqueror's defensive circle above the battlefield. This huge flame also caused Yu's Conqueror's defensive shield to appear. This time, people in the Hokage world finally understood why Kai and Uchiha Madara could not break through the range around Yu before. It turns out that Yu's whole body, in such a wide range, actually has such a terrifying absolute defense. Yu smiled slightly. Sage of Six Paths' three-flavored true fire could actually resist his own conquerors. It seemed that there was a strong man in the Hokage world. Yu smiled slightly from the sky, and the conqueror's defensive shield within 100 meters before gradually began to confront the three-flavored real fire released by Sage of Six Paths. Suddenly, the entire dual field within 1,000 kilometers was severely affected. There were fireworks, and the surrounding temperature suddenly rose by dozens of degrees. The entire dual field became a huge fire field. And Yu's conqueror's domineering power finally began to fade away under the terrifying fire of the three flavors. The defensive shield that was within 100 meters range immediately retreated 10 meters under the flames. Not bad, not bad. Yu, who was above the sky, looked calm. These fire elements could consume each other with his conquerors. But, it's a pity that if you want to break through your own defenses, you also need Sage of Six Paths with an amount of chakra equivalent to your own conqueror's amount. After Sage of Six Paths saw that the method he thought of was feasible, his face showed excitement. People in the Hokage world have always praised Sage of Six Paths. Great, Grandpa Six Paths, Yu's mysterious substance called Conquerors was actually consumed by Yu. This means that there is still hope for defeating Yu. Uzumaki Naruto said with a laugh. Shikamaru on the side also showed an excited expression. Thankfully, this time, Sage of Six Paths appeared in person. Otherwise, our Hokage world may really be penetrated. On the side, Kakashi's previously frowning brow gradually relaxed. Now that we have found the weakness of ninjutsu, Yi Yu, it means that Yi Yu can defeat it. Akai also looked in the direction of the dual field, looking at Sage of Six Paths seriously. As expected of the creator god of our Hokage world, he is really powerful. He just took action and found Yi Yu's perverted weakness. Similarly, Uchiha Madara also looked shocked. Sage of Six Paths was indeed far more powerful than him. Compared with Sage of Six Paths, my own Six Paths mode is simply weak. But the people in the pirate world looked calm at this time. In their hearts, it was impossible for the god Yi Yu in their world to fail. Especially Kaido, Big Mom and the two Four Emperors pirates, they even seemed to be gloating about their misfortune. Especially Kaido, when he was in the great prison under the sea, didn't he just dream of breaking through Yi Yu's defense? What's the result? In the end, he was completely educated by Yi Yu. After breaking through 10 meters, there is still 1 meter. After 1 meter, there is still 1 centimeter. After the last centimeter is broken, there is still 1 millimeter. After finally breaking through Yi Yu's defense, Yi Yu can easily create another Conqueror's defense shield. It's so frustrating. Compared with the people in the great prison under the sea, this guy named Sage of Six Paths was still very early in breaking through Yi Yu's defense. On the dual field, after Sage of Six Paths saw Yi Yu's flaw, he was extremely excited and even started to form seals. In an instant, all 5 attributes of ninjutsu appeared, and 5 giant dragons suddenly appeared on Sage of Six Paths' body, each with different attributes. Moreover, relying on his extremely fast seal formation speed, Sage of Six Paths directly made the gesture of spiritualism. Uchiha Madara, who was watching in the Hokage world, saw this gesture from Sage of Six Paths and almost peed on the spot. This can't be wrong. Can't be wrong. Actually, you want to summon the terrifying monster. On the dual field, a monster with 10 tails appeared from the sky. As soon as it landed, a large number of energy bombs gathered in its mouth, ready to be sprayed at Yi Yu. People in the Hokage world were collectively shocked. Each one opened their mouths wide and their lips trembled. This is 10 tails. 10 tails is actually a psychic beast from Sage of Six Paths. Oh my god, it's so scary. Sage of Six Paths is so scary. Now Yi Yu, in addition to facing the Sage of Six Paths, also has to face the attack of the psychic beast. He must have failed. People in the Hokage world have increasingly strong confidence in their creator god, and they seem to have seen the dawn of victory. People in the pirate world were also shocked when they saw this beast falling from the sky. Are you kidding? Isn't this a violation? What about the one-on-one duel we agreed on? Foil Beasta said angrily. At this time, white-bearded Edward Newgate narrowed his eyes. The way they fight in their world may be different from ours. That beast should be considered one of their attack methods, so in this sense, they are still fighting one-on-one fair. Whitebeard held the supreme sharp knife in his hand and murmured. 10 tails chakra bullets and the 5 dragons with chakra attributes summoned by Sage of Six Paths combined and flew towards Yi Yu. The terrifying aura affected even the entire space. The chaotic aura made the entire space agitated, and space cracks appeared one after another in the space. Yi Yu, who was in the upper position, looked at everything in front of him and admired slightly. Fortunately, if it's an attack of this level, you can barely be called a god. Yi Yu said condescendingly to Sage of Six Paths in a way that looked at an ant. After Sage of Six Paths heard this sentence, he felt as if he had been greatly humiliated. In the Hokage world, he was called the god of creation, and he was praised by people of all dynasties. I have long been accustomed to looking down at the human beings below with a godly attitude, and I have never received such contempt from others. Drink. Don't think I can't break your defense. Sage of Six Paths said loudly. The next moment, the 5 ninjutsu attributes of chakra began to merge together. This made people in the Hokage world show shocked expressions one by one. This is a trick of the 3rd Hokage, but the 3rd generation only incorporates ordinary ninjutsu. However, Sage of Six Paths combines ninjutsu with 5 types of sage chakra attributes, which is many times more difficult than 3rd Hokage. If it's such a terrifying ninjutsu, it might be possible to break the absolute defense of Yoyu. Hitaki Kakashi said seriously from the side. 3rd Hokage opened his mouth in surprise. He couldn't believe it. It was already difficult to create just one of these terrifying sage jutsu, but Sage of Six Paths could actually combine these 5S levels. After fusion with sage jutsu, he is indeed the creator god of this world. Shikamaru was also surprised and sweat dropped on his forehead. The god of the ninja world was not called for nothing. This time, I should be able to defeat that guy Yi Yu. People around said excitedly. Boom. In the place of battle, the fused sage ninjutsu began to fuse with the chakra bullets of 10 tails, resulting in a more powerful ninjutsu. After the fusion of these energies, they have been releasing chaotic and terrifying energy. It seems like it can explode everything in this world. Finally, this terrifying fusion power began to collide with Yi Yu's Conqueror's defensive shield. A loud bang resounded throughout the whole world. Various weird attribute chakras began to shoot out crazily in all directions. At this time, the pendulum of time and space in the sky shot out a white light. This white light shot directly into the dual field. The original dual field was directly expanded dozens of times. Yi Yu's Conqueror's barrier finally began to fluctuate a little, and the entire Conqueror's barrier began to shake. Yes, as a reward, I'll give you this move. Yi Yu said to Sage of Six Paths with a smile. The next moment, Yi Yu only slightly added some magma power to his conquerors, and the terrifying red conquerors rushed towards the Sage of Six Paths. Sage of Six Paths saw this scene and opened his mouth wide. Are you kidding? This rich amount of chakra, such a powerful fire-style ninjutsu. Sage of Six Paths said in shock, swallowing the saliva in his mouth. As the originator of this Hokage world, I created ninjutsu and created attacks with various attributes. I never thought that this guy named Yi Yu would actually know ninjutsu, and his knowledge in fire style was still in his own hands. Above. Absorb. Sage of Six Paths raised his hands to the sky, and a mysterious power emerged spontaneously. The red flames contained in Yi Yu's conquerors gradually dimmed as they were absorbed by Sage of Six Paths. Sage of Six Paths showed a confident smile, because the magma power released by Yi Yu was directly absorbed by Sage of Six Paths. The previously huge conqueror's power gradually dimmed due to the absorption of Sage of Six Paths. This move shocked everyone in the pirate world. They even showed very strange expressions one by one. Whitebeard Edward Newgate couldn't believe his eyes. Yi Yu had been in his Whitebeard pirates for so many years. How had he ever seen Yi Yu's attack be absorbed? That guy named Sage of Six Paths has quite a strange ability. It can actually absorb Yi Yu's magma power. Whitebeard Edward Newgate opened his mouth wide and said incredulously. Even the golden lion on the side was really shocked. He is actually able to absorb Yi Yu's ability. This guy is not simple. Isn't this battle difficult to fight? The golden lion showed a worried look on the side and said worriedly. Marco, Foil Beasta, and Diamond Josie all showed worried looks. They never thought that Yi Yu, the god in their minds, would one day be absorbed by the power of others. In this battle, I hope Yi Yu can win the final victory. Even the young men of the Whitebeard pirates began to pray for Yi Yu to win in the end. There was no way, mainly because the ability of Sage of Six Paths was so weird that they all had to become suspicious. People in the Hokage world were very excited. They had tried this absorption ability of Sage of Six Paths before in Six Paths Madara, and the feeling was very uncomfortable. The next moment, Yi Yu continued to smile. Sure enough, the fruit ability in the pirate world can be absorbed by this ability in the Hokage world. But, I'm not sure if I can absorb my own conquerors. The next moment, Sage of Six Paths' expression became solemn. The ability he had absorbed before was suddenly too much, making Sage of Six Paths feel as embarrassed as eating shit. When people in the Hokage world saw what Sage of Six Paths looked like, they all opened their mouths wide. What? Sage of Six Paths is going on? Uzumaki Naruto said nervously. Kakashi also noticed something was wrong. No, his ability seems to have been interrupted. Shikamaru's eyes were shining with light as he stared at the picture on the screen. Something's wrong. What is it that Sage of Six Paths absorbed? Could it be said that what Sage of Six Paths absorbed is not chakra? People in the pirate world also looked at Sage of Six Paths with slight surprise, and everyone was shocked. Although they didn't know the reason, they were sure that Yi Yu was up to something again. The next moment, a mysterious force kept shuttling inside Sage of Six Paths. Sage of Six Paths widened his eyes and looked at his body, which began to expand and shrink. Sage of Six Paths opened his eyes wide, with a look of shock on his face. My own Six Paths absorption can't absorb the energy of the kid in front of me. Could it be said that it is something more terrifying than the force of nature? Without giving Sage of Six Paths too many opportunities to think, the next moment, Yi Yu's conquerors condensed into a huge palm and slapped Ten Tails directly. In an instant, the entire sky was covered with dark clouds and became gloomy for a while. You can read more daily new novels on fictionzone.net. Both sites shared the same login details, so you don't need to sign up again. Chapter 225 Instant Kill Ten Tails. Even a terrifying creature like Ten Tails was frightened and froze in place under Yi Yu's terrifying blow. Under Yi Yu's terrifying conqueror's giant palm, the powerful air pressure had arrived first. Feeling the terrifying aura rushing towards his face, Ten Tails couldn't think of any resistance. Just looking at it like this terrifying force hit him. There was a loud bang. Yi Yu's conqueror's palm crashed down, causing a loud noise that shocked the world. The previously arrogant Ten Tails in the Hokage world was hammered down by Yi Yu with a terrifying blow. The entire body was blasted into the ground by Yi Yu's terrifying blow. The previous Ten Tails turned into a puddle of flesh under this blow. This scene made people in the entire Hokage world completely confused. How is this possible? The one who was killed instantly was Ten Tails. Fourth Mizukage Terumi widened her beautiful eyes, and she refused to believe it. Ten Tails, this terrifying behemoth, such a terrifying existence in the Hokage world, was killed so easily by Yi Yu. Raikage and Killer Bee also opened their mouths. They never thought that Yi Yu would be so terrifying. Akai frowned tightly. He knew Yi Yu's terror very well, even his 8 Gates Dunjia could easily resist it. However, this instant kill of Ten Tails was something Akai did not expect. Uzumaki Naruto and Uchiha Sasuke held their breaths one by one. They still vividly remember the terrifying aura of Ten Tails before. They were fighting against Ten Tails. Not to mention using the power of the entire Hokage world, at least half of the power of the Hokage world was used. When they were at Ten Tails, they didn't get much bargain. But now, Ten Tails turned out to be so miserable in front of Yi Yu, which really shocked them. Uchiha Madara also fell into long-term thinking, looking at Yi Yu with a dull look on his face. I originally thought that from my previous battle with Yi Yu, I had a glimpse of Yi Yu's strength, but looking at it now, I was still very early. Yi Yu's strength is simply not something that can be seen at his level. The scene of Yi Yu instantly killing 10 tails has been lingering in the minds of people in the Hokage world. Since the pendulum of time and space will not protect the things summoned by the combatants, 10 tails was shot with bloody flesh and blood. This cruel scene has been remembered by people watching in the Hokage world for a lifetime. The people in the pirate world laughed wildly. Ha ha ha, you see, this is the power of our pirate world. Go to hell with this bullshit different world. In front of our Mr. Yi Yu, it is useless for any of you. Golden Lion Shiki said loudly to people in the Hokage world said mockingly. Heavenly Yaksha Doflamingo also looked excited. He is a follower of Yi Yu. Yi Yu can bring a face to his pirate world, and naturally his own face will also shine. Ha ha ha, let's destroy their Hokage world like this. Shit God, in all the worlds, there is only one God, and that is Yi Yu. Foo 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 foo. Heavenly Yaksha Doflamingo laughed loudly and wildly. Shichibukai Empress Hancock also had a look of admiration on her face. Yi Yu-kun, you are so powerful. You can beat the gods from another world like this. Yi Yu, you are the best. Empress Hancock, with her sexy figure exposed under her cheongsam, looked excited. Said. Even Yi Yu's former enemy among the pirates, Kaido of the 100 Beasts, and the 4 Emperor's Ant, each opened their mouths wide and began to laugh wildly. It seemed that it was not Yi Yu who was on the battlefield at this time, but themselves. Ha 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 ha, you guys in the Hokage world, now you know how powerful we are. How can you guys shake the foundation of the pirate world? Cyborg Kong clenched his fist tightly. Yi Yu's performance was completely beyond his imagination. Now I finally understand why Yi Yu defeated IM. After 10 tails was instantly killed by Yi Yu, people in the Hokage world had no time to grieve and all looked at the big screen. Each one of them is looking for traces of Sage of Six Paths. You know, Yi Yu's attack just now covered the entire ground. There is no doubt that Yi Yu's attack just now must have affected Sage of Six Paths. If Sage of Six Paths is hit by Yi Yu and cannot withstand this wave of damage, then it will be a game over and the world of Hokage will be over. Even some members of the Hyuga clan went so far as to exaggerate. They opened their eyes directly and looked for traces of Sage of Six Paths on the screen. At this time, along with a crisp sound, a puff of smoke appeared. It turned out that at the critical moment, Sage of Six Paths directly activated his substitute Sage Jutsu, and thus escaped the disaster. Sage of Six Paths gasped for air in the dual field and looked at Yi Yu. The calmness before was no longer the same, but was replaced by a look of anger. Who am I? I am a god in the Hokage world. I have always been worshipped by people in the Hokage world. When have I ever looked so embarrassed? But now, my face is really about to be completely humiliated. After activating his yin and yang power and removing the conquerors from his body, Sage of Six Paths narrowed his eyes slightly, with a solemn look on his face. The next moment, the yin and yang power in Sage of Six Paths, body merged with its own Sage Jutsu chakra, and there was a loud roar. The complete Susanoo appears directly. This terrifying Susanoo has 2 wings on its body. It is many times more powerful than Uchiha Madara, Uchiha Sasuke, and Uchiha Itachi. In just one breath, Sage of Six Paths flapped his wings, and the next moment, Sage of Six Paths rushed directly into the sky. The long sword in his hand is filled with immortal chakra. Sage Jutsu. Susanoo Endless Slash. Sage of Six Paths shouted, and a terrifying sword intent filled the entire world. If this attack from Sage of Six Paths were released above the ground, I believe people all over the world would be horrified. This attack carries various strange powers, condensed from the huge Sage chakra, and also integrated with the power of Susanoo from Sage of Six Paths. It can be said to be very terrifying and powerful. Even the entire sky directly caused strange images in the heaven and earth because of this attack. A series of sky thunders fell from the sky and hit the ground. The entire ground was instantly scorched by the power of thunder and lightning. Looking around, at this time, on the ground of the arena, there were patches of anxiety and desolation. The aftermath of this terrifying slash left indelible traces on the entire land. The ground above the dual field was cut in half by the aftermath. The terrifying slash, devastating the world, surged towards Yi Yu's Conqueror's defensive shield. Facing this terrifying blow from Sage of Six Paths, everyone widened their eyes. The plot reversed so quickly. No one thought that Sage of Six Paths, who had been suppressed by Yi Yu, would suddenly this is what happened. People in the Hokage world showed hope one by one. Yes, that's it. Take advantage of this opportunity and take down this terrifying pervert Yi Yu with one blow. And the people in the pirate world opened their mouths one by one. This scene happened quite suddenly. For a moment, they didn't even react. Yi Yu smiled slightly, not caring at all. He had almost tested the level of Sage of Six Paths. It's not even as powerful as I am, so why would I take it to heart? The next moment, Yi Yu directly used his imagination to transform into a huge giant. This giant held the Overlord spear in its hand and thrust towards Sage of Six Paths. There was a crash, and the slash released by Sage of Six Paths was instantly offset by Yi Yu's attack, and it did not stop at the next moment. Is this Yi Yu's strength? Cold sweat broke out on Kakashi's forehead. He didn't expect Yi Yu to be so terrifying. You can transform into such a terrifying beast just through your imagination. Yi Yu is so terrifying. Gara Gara of the Sand Waterfall said to Yi Yu in front of him with a shocked look on his face. In this case, it is impossible to defeat such a terrifying guy. Look at that boy Yi Yu, he never moved his hands from the beginning to the end. In other words, Yi Yu controls the entire giant entirely through his own thoughts. Why would such a terrifying guy appear in this world? Shikamaru was completely confused. In the past, Shikamaru was able to analyze the enemy's weaknesses no matter how powerful the opponent was, but when facing a terrifying guy like Yi Yu, Shikamaru was completely powerless. No weaknesses can be found at all. In terms of defense alone, Yi Yu definitely has absolute defense. Even the Sage Jutsu of Sage of Six Paths cannot shake that 360-degree protective shield. When it comes to attacking, it feels like Yi Yu is just using his imagination to conjure up any attack method and attack the enemy fiercely. And just through imagination, you can imagine a giant that is more terrifying than Susanoo in Sage of Six Paths. It can kill 10 tails in one blow. This kind of terrifying combat power can definitely destroy the world in the Hokage world. Such a terrifying enemy was simply invulnerable. For a moment, Shikamaru felt that his brain was not enough and he could not analyze any way to defeat Yi Yu. The Sage of Six Paths in the sky was surprised for a while. They really couldn't imagine that a god from another world could be so terrifying. Six Paths planetary devastation. Six Paths in Susanoo state inserted his long sword into his scabbard. He gestured directly towards Yi Yu, and in a strange posture, a huge black core appeared. As soon as it appeared, this huge core began to attract a large amount of soil debris, which merged in the sky. Under the strong attraction, even the surface of the earth, trees and rivers were attracted. At this time, the sound of the space-time pendulum sounded again. It is detected that there is a powerful energy coming, and the arena is expanded 1,000 times. The next moment, the arena turned into the size of a small planet. The people around me sighed. The battle between the two gods was really terrifying. Their battlefield must be as big as a planet to be enough for them to perform. What kind of attack is it? According to the performance just now, it is the attack of that guy from Sage of Six Paths. The people in the pirate world were slightly surprised by such a huge battle venue. It's hard to imagine that Sage of Six Paths has such a terrifying attack method. Everyone in the Hokage world was shocked. Uchiha Madara even widened his eyes, swallowed his saliva, and his lips began to tremble. Could it be that? Could it be said that we are about to release that move? Six Paths Madara said in disbelief. That move, are you referring to? Uzumaki Naruto on the side couldn't help but ask curiously. Six Paths Madara then looked at the sky with a solemn look. That move, Six Paths planetary devastation, what is formed can no longer be called a meteorite, it should be called a moon. Six Paths Madara murmured. Moon, moon. This sentence completely shocked the people in the surrounding Hokage world. Are you kidding me? Sage of Six Paths can actually summon the moon. Is this still a person? Yes, it's the moon. Sage of Six Paths used this trick in order to seal a more powerful guy. Six Paths Madara said with a solemn expression. The moon above your heads now was created by Sage of Six Paths. Gulu, Gulu. After hearing Uchiha Madara's explanation, people in the Hokage world began to swallow their saliva one by one. They never thought that Sage of Six Paths would be so terrifying. After a brief shock, they all showed excited expressions again. If what Uchiha Madara said is true, then no matter how strong Johan is, it is impossible for terror to defeat such a powerful ninjutsu. The people around them looked shocked and excited, and once again turned their eyes to the big screen in the sky. This time, I can finally defeat the devil Yi Yu. Uzumaki Naruto jumped up excitedly. Noticing the abnormality in the sky, Yi Yu narrowed his eyes directly. A huge meteorite appeared above his head. Under the strong pressure, Yi Yu could feel it, and even the entire dual field was shaking. This is a dual field comparable to a planet. Under the influence of this technique of Sage of Six Paths, it will actually tremble. Even Yi Yu showed high appreciation for this technique. That powerful attraction can actually attract his own conquerors. You can imagine how powerful the terrifying power is. Fortunately, I became stronger after defeating IM, otherwise I would really have to go through a lot of troubles to face this god from the Hokage world. It's time to end it. Yi Yu raised the corners of his mouth slightly, showing a confident expression. Chapter 226 The Moon. Just smash it into pieces. Secure Asset Portal, your trusted source for secure and informative digital assets. Register with your real phone number and get bonus just for registering. Try for free. A huge conqueror's palm slapped hard at the huge meteorite summoned by Sage of Six Paths. The moon. I would like to see which one is more powerful, your moon or my conquerors. Yi Yu raised the corners of his mouth slightly. He now has unlimited conquerors activated, which is many times more powerful than when he fought IM before, but he can try to see if he can destroy the moon with one blow. Looking at Yi Yu, Sage of Six Paths showed a trace of disdain. This move is the most powerful among all the ninjutsu he owns. It was a method I came up with after specializing in dealing with god-level monsters. It's just right to deal with an opponent of Yi Yu's level. Even if you can't kill a terrifying opponent like Yi Yu, you can definitely seal Yi Yu in the moon. People in the Hokage world were even more shocked. At this time, everyone in the Hokage world believed that ninjutsu could definitely defeat Yi Yu with this move. This is the moon, which is equivalent to a small planet. Who can resist this kind of power? Even the people in the pirate world showed extremely worried expressions. Golden Lion Shiki widened his eyes, which were actually bloodshot. I am a person with the ability to float, but even I can't float such a huge thing in the air. And Sage of Six Paths actually did this by relying on gravity, which is very terrifying. Whitebeard Edward Newgate was even more shocked. As the strongest man in the pirate world, he had the power to destroy everything. But for such a huge moon, letting myself destroy it was just a joke to myself. 100 of us would not be able to destroy the moon. If this terrifying ability were more terrifying, wouldn't it be able to create a world? Sure enough, this guy who is called God in the Hokage world is not simple. This Sage of Six Paths is a rival on the same level as Yi Yu. In front of this terrifying moon, even Whitebeard, the former #1 man in the world, showed a worried look on his face. Mihawk's eyes were even more radiant. This was the first time he had encountered such a terrifying ability. Even if he were the greatest swordsman in the world, he would never be able to split the moon in front of him. Does Fujitora have the ability to smile? It can be used to such a terrifying extent. It seems that there are still ways to reach Yi Yu's level. Will I, Mihawk, be able to reach Yi Yu's level in my lifetime? As for Marine, they were even more shocked when they looked at the moon forming in the sky. What if I, Garp, flattened 8 mountains with one punch? Under this terrifying power, I can't shake it at all. I actually practiced Fujitora's ability to smile to such a terrifying degree. It's so terrifying. Sage of Six Paths. Buddha GG Warring States on the side even narrowed his eyes. Can Yi Yu bear this kind of terrifying power? Kaido and Big Mom, 2-4 Emperor's level experts, faced this attack from Sage of Six Paths, and even they broke into cold sweats. Just imagine, if they were faced with such a terrifying attack, they would definitely be frightened to death on the spot. Even though these 2-4 Emperors have bodies of steel, facing such a terrifying meteorite, their power is as insignificant as ants. There is simply no room for resistance. If you have to say who can withstand such a terrifying blow, only Yi Yu in this world can do it. The Conqueror's palm in the sky condenses directly into shape, emitting colorful light. This shocked people in the pirate world. Colorful conquerors. I have never seen such domineering conquerors before. Mihawk's eyes flashed and he narrowed his eyes. The white-bearded Edward Newgate on the side was even more surprised. Yes, these colorful conquerors look even scarier than the previous golden conquerors. Marco jumped even more excitedly. So, Yi Yu's conquerors have been upgraded again. Now the quality of this conquerors is a colorful conquerors that is more terrifying than the gold conquerors. Kaido and Big Mom swallowed their own saliva after hearing the discussion of the Whitebeard pirates. I really didn't expect that the demon Yi Yu would be strengthened again after defeating IM. Could it be that they were kicked in the head by a donkey back then? They had to provoke Yi Yu. Fortunately, Yi Yu was merciful and not interested in their lives. Otherwise, they would not know whether they had died 1,000 times or 10,000 times. The palm transformed by the colorful conquerors in the sky is as wide as 100 feet, but it still looks very small when facing the moon created by Sage of Six Paths. And Yi Yu could also clearly feel that the conquerors on his body were attracted by the attraction of the moon. It's really a terrifying attraction, but it doesn't matter. In front of the colorful conquerors, it has no effect at all. After saying that, the colorful conquerors suddenly expanded hundreds of times again. He blasted towards the moon in the sky, and with the attraction that the moon brought to his conquerors, the huge palm moved even faster. Sage of Six Paths on the side also gradually realized that something was not normal. With his own attraction, even a terrifying opponent like Kagaya will definitely be attracted by this powerful attraction. Is this boy Yi Yu so terrifying, that he is still flying in the air motionless? Six Paths reincarnation at the moment, I saw Yi Yu's conquerors, Sage of Six Paths with a shocked face. That thing, what a strange chakra. Is it the source of energy in this world? Sage of Six Paths looked at Yi Yu's conquerors through the Six Paths Samsara eye with extremely shocked eyes. Now I finally knew that the attraction on my sky and moon had not lost its effectiveness. It's because this terrifying attraction was directly blocked by conquerors, and all it absorbed was the majestic conqueror's energy covering Yi Yu's body. What a terrifying power. It's so huge, and can resist my attraction. Sage of Six Paths said with his eyes widened. While I was thinking about it, the conqueror's palm in the sky and the artificial moon created by Sage of Six Paths began to collide. There was a loud bang, and the powerful sound resounded throughout the entire world. The planet within the dual field was directly shaken, causing an air quake. The mountains on the land were shattered directly by this terrifying impact, and the sea became even more turbulent. Waves of waves appeared and began to roll in all directions. Sage of Six Paths looked shocked. He had never thought that this collision would be so terrifying. Then I looked at the sky, and I was instantly confused. The moon that I had worked so hard to create covered the sky with overwhelming momentum. How could he be easily beaten to powder by Yi Yu with just an ordinary blow? Are you sure you're not hallucinating? Looking at the people around them, people in the pirate world opened their mouths one by one, stunned. People in the Hokage world opened their mouths wide, their eyes were dull, and they kept swallowing saliva. The entire surrounding environment was completely silent. Everyone was shocked by the scene in front of them. Sage of Six Paths closed his eyes. Genjutsu. It must be genjutsu. Unexpectedly, this boy Yi Yu actually possesses ninjutsu that can make immortals fall into genjutsu. It is really not to be underestimated. But, fortunately, before he was hit by genjutsu, he had already used his strongest move. Even if Yi Yu, a kid, let himself fall into genjutsu, there was absolutely no way he could resist his moon attack. Genjutsu solution. Untie. Untie. Sage of Six Paths made a gesture to untie Genjutsu, trying to untie the seal in his hand, but no matter how he untied the seal, he couldn't undo it at all. What's going on? What exactly is going on? Sage of Six Paths looked confused. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't break his sealing technique. What is going on? This is also the first time Sage of Six Paths has felt terror after fighting enemies for so many years. Just when Sage of Six Paths kept showing off to unlock the Genjutsu seal, people in the Hokage world couldn't stand it anymore. Grandpa Six Paths, what are you doing? Look at the sky, Naruto Uzumaki shouted loudly. Kakashi was even more sweaty on his forehead. Even if it's Sage of Six Paths, if you don't escape, you will definitely die. Sandstorm Gaara, looking at the sky above the dual field, was even more shocked and speechless. Even if there are 100 of me, using ninjutsu with absolute defense at the same time, it is impossible to be able to withstand the stone ruins in the sky. Gaara Gaara of Sand Falls murmured. Metkai looked above his head at the fragments of the moon that had been fanned into mud and rubble by Yi Yu's attack, with a look of excitement on his face. In this case, the 8th gates must be open to be able to barely resist it. What on earth was Sage of Six Paths doing? He was standing there making strange gestures, not knowing that the moon he had created had been fanned into pieces by Yi Yu. Are we going to smash him into a pulp? With the ability of Sage of Six Paths, it will not be smashed to death. However, who can be sure that such a huge ruin will not bury Sage of Six Paths and directly seal it? Shikamaru said the key point of the problem was revealed, with a worried look on his face. People in the pirate world were also shocked and excited. They never thought that Yi Yu would grow to such a terrifying stage. It turned out that with just one blow, the moon was knocked down. Even I can't do this. The terrifying demon, Mr. Yi Yu, has grown up again. Mihawk's eyes exuded excitement, and his face was filled with excitement. Being able to follow a strong man of Yi Yu's level, I will die without any regrets in my life. Because only in this way can you become stronger step by step and become the world's greatest swordsman. Of course, if Yi Yu does not participate. If Yi Yu also participates, no matter whether it is a sword, a gun, or bare hands, Yi Yu will definitely be the first. How could he be qualified to compete with Yi Yu to be the world's greatest swordsman? Whitebeard, Golden Lion, Garp, and the strong men in the world of Cyborg Kongu were all completely impressed by Yi Yu's thunderous strike. No matter how they never thought that Yi Yu, this terrifying guy, would grow again after defeating I.M. White-bearded Edward Newgate's hands began to tremble involuntarily. There was nothing he could do about it. Yi Yu's talent was so sinister that it was completely beyond the imagination of these strong men. As this boy's Conqueror's growth limitless, Whitebeard widened his eyes and spoke in disbelief. It's really boundless and endless. Just when we think that Yi Yu's growth has reached the end, Yi Yu can always make us rejudge Yi Yu. Golden Lion Shiki was also surprised. Open your mouth. Sage of Six Paths on the dual field thought everything was genjutsu, until the huge moon above his head was about to hit him, and Sage of Six Paths barely realized something. When the moon pressed against his body, a huge mountain with a height of 20,000 meters instantly formed on the entire arena planet. Have sealed it, Uzumaki Naruto said in surprise. Such a huge and majestic mountain peak was formed, and the entire planet was shaken by the earthquake. It's terrible. Feeling the breath of dying, Sage of Six Paths couldn't help but release his ninjutsu, and a huge Susanoo appeared again. The mountain peak that had previously reached a height of 20,000 meters cracked instantly, and huge boulders slipped from the mountain and fell into the sea one by one. In the end, the 4 surrounding oceans were blocked by these stones and formed a new ocean. Those relatively huge fragments fell into other areas and formed new mountain peaks. There are also huge holes created by huge rocks, which actually formed huge lakes. The scene in front of me really made the people around me feel numb. This was a battle between gods. With just a few moves, you can change the landscape of the entire world. Isn't this a battle between gods? Etc. Just when everyone was surprised, a huge palm emitting colorful light from the sky slapped Sage of Six Paths hard again. Sage of Six Paths, who had just climbed out of the ruins, looked confused and dull. Looking at everything around me, it is so realistic. Could it be that I didn't hit genjutsu? Is everything in front of me real? Yi Yu, that scary kid, actually knocked over the moon. Sage of Six Paths looked at everything around him and muttered to himself in disbelief. But people in the Hokage world have begun to remind Sage of Six Paths. Hey, Sage of Six Paths, look at the top of your head, the top of your head. Uzumaki Naruto shouted. Uchiha Madara has a very strange expression on her face. Could it be that even Sage of Six Paths was confused by this boy Yi Yu? Can't see the sky above. Hey, Six Paths, are you blind? You can't feel such a big movement above your head, Uchiha Madara said helplessly. Shikamaru also looked nervous. I'm afraid this battle is about to end. Above the battlefield, Sage of Six Paths finally felt the difference above his head and looked up. The next moment, even a character like Sage of Six Paths was completely shocked. I saw that the entire sky was filled with darkness, and it was actually covered by a huge palm. Chapter 227 The Trembling Tornado Goes into Battle. Secure Asset Portal, your trusted source for secure and informative digital assets. Register with your real phone number and get bonus just for registering. Try for free. This huge palm is as huge as a small planet. There are all kinds of weird powers around the palm, including the power of lightning, the power of magma, the power of vibration, the power of freezing, and the power of flash. Various strange forces were mixed together, which caused the space in the sky to be broken one after another. The space cracks were located in it and were pulled to the limit. Now Sage of Six Paths finally believes that he has no genjutsu at all. He has truly felt this sense of imminent death. There is absolutely no genjutsu. This thing is Yohane's ninjutsu, a ninjutsu released by using Conqueror's special chakra energy. Drop after drop of sweat appeared on Sage of Six Paths' forehead. The sky was so boundless and such a huge Conqueror's palm was smashing down on him. He had nowhere to hide. The dual arena has not been expanded yet, so the entire dual arena planet will be affected. Even if he hid in the land that was 10,000 meters deep, Sage of Six Paths still believed that he would be smashed out by Yu on the spot. Damn you, you must absorb this technique, otherwise I will be dead. Sage of Six Paths looked horrified, and hurriedly raised the absorbed ninjutsu seal to the sky. However, it is also in vain. The power contained in Yu's Conquerors is too much and too complicated, even the Sage of Six Paths cannot absorb it at all. Sage of Six Paths' pupils shrank sharply, and the huge palm in his eyes was huge and boundless, which made Sage of Six Paths frightened. How powerful this palm is, I know better than anyone else. Just the terrifying aftermath alone can forcefully bulldoze 2,000 meters of earth. The surrounding air was even more violent, with flying sand and rocks everywhere. Dying. I'm actually going to die. A huge word, death, floated in my mind. This made Sage of Six Paths tremble involuntarily. After all these years, he has never experienced the fear of being dominated by death. Now, it is the first time to taste this taste. This makes my heart very broken. I, Sage of Six Paths, the originator of the ninja world in the Hokage world, the great god who created ninjutsu, is he about to fall? Caught in the messy Sage of Six Paths, he kept releasing his own Sage Jutsu, thunder and lightning, 3-flavored real fire, 9 realms of ice, weak water, and other weird and terrifying ninjutsu, and bombarded the sky. These ninjutsu, any one of them is extremely terrifying to this day. People in the Hokage world, even talented geniuses like Uchiha Sasuke and Uchiha Madara, may not be able to learn it. But these ninjutsu bombarded the sky desperately. Yu, who was in the sky, showed a hint of disdain. Sage of Six Paths, it cheered me up a little bit, but it's still too weak. Didn't he pose any threat to me from beginning to end? The only bright spot is the Maid Moon. It's quite interesting to be able to absorb some of my conquerors. But it's just fun. It's not dangerous at all, Yu commented to Sage of Six Paths. The huge palm, covering the sky and the sun, slapped Sage of Six Paths hard. The pendulum of time and space emitted colorful light, forming a huge defensive shield formed by conquerors in front of Sage of Six Paths. Looking at the huge barrier formed around them, Sage of Six Paths looked confused. Turning on his detection ability, he finally discovered that this thing seemed to come from the same source as Yu's attack on him. Can protect me? However, if this thing cannot protect me, there will be nothing in this world that can protect me. Sage of Six Paths shook his head helplessly, waiting for his next fate. There was a loud bang. There was a huge sound above the head of Sage of Six Paths, and the Conqueror's bombardment produced a terrifying aftermath. The aftermath of these air surges towards the surroundings crazily. The entire planet was shaken by it, and the mountains and rivers on the planet were directly shaken into the sky by the collision of this terrifying blow. The huge sound fluctuations made Sage of Six Paths' ears keep ringing. This made Sage of Six Paths cover his ears with both hands. Now Sage of Six Paths is a little suspicious of what kind of weird sound genjutsu this guy Yu is releasing. It wasn't until a chaotic sound reached Sage of Six Paths' ears that Sage of Six Paths slowly broke free from the sharp and terrifying sound. Winner, Yu. A chaotic voice appeared, and Sage of Six Paths looked around in confusion. The entire planet was under this terrifying Conqueror's collision, and was thrown into chaos by the aftermath. Sage of Six Paths looked at everything around him in disbelief. It was really hard to believe that there were really people in this world whose energy could be so abnormal. Even a planet has suffered huge damage. Compared with Yu, he, the god of the Hokage world, still seems too immature. After a ray of light, Sage of Six Paths was directly brought back to the world of Hokage. The arena created by the pendulum of time and space has once again restored its previous appearance. After Sage of Six Paths returned to the Hokage world, people in the Hokage world were still shocked. These ninjas have never seen a Conqueror's collision like Yu's. Their mouths opened wide for a moment, and they couldn't fall into peace for a long time. Even the news of the defeat of Sage of Six Paths was thrown out of their minds. This is the chakra of that world. Isn't it too scary? Uzumaki Naruto's lips trembled, and he was even a little at a loss. Uchiha Madara on the side was also shocked for a long time, and finally spoke slowly. It's not a loss to be defeated by Yu. This is an opponent 100 times more powerful than Senju Hashirama. As for the other 5 shadows and everyone else, they were so shocked that they couldn't even close their mouths. Even they and the Cajun leading figures in the great ninja village could not imagine how powerful Yu was with their imaginations. Sage of Six Paths, on the other hand, froze on the spot. Good guy, he had failed the battle, and no one talked to him. This made him very embarrassed. Just like this, in the awkward atmosphere, the pendulum of time and space above the head declared again. Failed in the Hokage world, accept the punishment. For a moment, even the people in the pirate world held their breath. To be honest, they don't have any deep hatred against the people in the Hokage world. The reason why they engage in a life and death contest with them is entirely because of the powerful pendulum of time and space in the sky. The Hokage world space characters begin to merge. Along with the sound of the system, these people from the previous ninja joint army were directly led to the world of pirates. They were transferred directly to the Whitebeard pirates area, and the space of the Hokage world disappeared directly, and the space of the pirates world suddenly expanded. The ninja coalition forces in the Hokage world looked at each other in confusion. They looked at each other at a loss. What's going on? What's going on? We were actually transferred to this pirate world. The combined army of ninjas in the Hokage world looked confused. Uchiha Madara is looking at the world. He can feel that there are many strong people in the pirate world. Especially those old people, except for the guy named Golden Lion who fought with Metkai before, Whitebeard, Garp, Sengoku, Cyborg Kong, and even Kaido and Big Mom. He can feel that these people all have super shadows. The strength. What a scary world, Uchiha Madara murmured in her heart. At the same time, Uchiha Madara looked at Yi Yu who was aside. Even in such a terrifying world, the strength of that guy Yi Yu. It is still terrifyingly high. The gap between the second place in this world and Yi Yu is probably worlds apart. Uchiha Madara looked serious. Naruto was also confused and looked around. Hey, Kakashi-sensei, what happened? Why, what is the situation? All of us, even all the worlds, were transferred here. Uzumaki Naruto said in disbelief. I am very confused about everything around me, and I can also feel that the characters here are very scary in combat. Kakashi also shook his head helplessly. There is no way, we seem to have become the defeated, and now we are transferred here as the defeated. Kakashi looked at the area where the Whitebeard pirates were, but Whitebeard and the others did not regard them as prisoners. They were just looking at each other, and they were at peace with each other. There is no other way. In this situation, we can only wait and see how it changes. As the person in charge of IQ, Shikamaru's brain was running rapidly and he spoke first. As a result, the people in the Hokage world looked at the people in the pirate world with wary eyes. At this time, the sound of the time-space pendulum in the sky rang again. Next, the second two-dimensional world will open. A powerful voice came over, and the picture was played directly into the world of One Punch Man. The heroes who were discussing in the Heroes Guild at this time felt the power of the pendulum of time and space in the sky, and each of them looked shocked. Naturally, many of them wanted to fight against the red pendulum of time and space, but they found that their power was of no use at all. So they had no choice but to accept this boring rule. Blast, Tatsumaki, Bangu, Yu Atomic Samurai, Child Emperor, Metal Knight, King, Drive Knight, Genos, Zombie Man, Pig God, Saitama and others sat at the round desk of the Hero Association one by one. Beside, it can be seen that their brows are frowning, and they have regarded the pendulum of time and space as some kind of weirdo. He is really a difficult guy. Our abilities are actually useless against him. The Venerable Vest said in disbelief. At this point, I think we can only follow the requirements of the pendulum of time and space. Bangu looked indifferent, but he hoped that at this time, he could put his fists to good use. The trembling tornado soared in the sky, pouting his little mouth and crossing his hands on his chest. This abominable pendulum of time and space, when I get the chance, I will smash him to pieces. As for this challenge, I don't think it's interesting at all. People in the other world must be weaklings, right? I'll leave these weaklings to you, The trembling Tatsumaki said unceremoniously to the people of the Hero Association. The people in the Hero Association could only sigh helplessly in their hearts. There was no way, who made the little lowly in front of them be the tornado of their grade. The hard power is there, and they don't dare to have any opinions. At this time, the pendulum of time and space also began to announce the participants this time. The trembling tornado and the king. The ancient and vicissitudes of the rapid voice came over. After hearing these words, the king's engine started immediately. Even if there is a tiger-level monster in another world, he is no match for him. What are you doing? What are you doing? Is it a direct roll call? Isn't it just whoever is willing to go, who will go? King's heart beat rapidly. Facing the fear of a different world, the fear of the unknown, it made King feel extremely terrifying. Why is it between myself and the trembling tornado? King cried in his heart. If it had been someone else, he would have given up decisively, but this time, it turned out to be a trembling Tatsumaki who was even less willing to fight than himself. Please choose. The voice sounded again. I abstain. At the first moment, King shouted loudly. Are you kidding? This is a one-on-one challenge in a different world. If he were in his own world, he could still frighten his opponent, relying on the King engine brought by his accelerated heartbeat to frighten the opponent. Even if you can't scare the opponent, you can still use your own summoning technique to summon Saitama the Great Demon King. But now, that is an opponent from another world, and he cannot use these two magic weapons, so there is no doubt that failure is waiting for him. By that time, my strength will be seen by everyone, and I will no longer be able to survive in this Heroes Association. The trembling Tatsumaki on the side suddenly became furious after hearing King's answer. Hey, King, you be asterisk 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 D, have you made a mistake? Just deal with some weak chickens from another world, and you want me to take action myself. The trembling Tatsumaki gritted his teeth at the king and shouted angrily. King, on the other hand, carries out his pretense to the end. Hey, Tatsumaki, do you want me to take action personally to deal with these weak chickens? This is not good. King directly criticized Tatsumaki. This made the people around him more certain of King's strength. Atomic Samurai nodded with satisfaction to the king. In fact, he didn't really like Tatsumaki's temper. It was just that he was embarrassed to say anything because Tatsumaki was ranked second in the Heroes Association. The king is still very powerful. If he has the strength, he can fight against the tornado. Chapter 228. The Child Emperor was shocked. The defense shield was a kilometer in diameter. Bangu also looked at the king, thoughtfully. The overall strength may not be as good as Tornado. After all, Tornado can fly and has superpowers. But when it comes to ground combat, this king will definitely be a king. Even I, a martial arts master, must put 100% of my mind into fighting against this guy. The trembling Tatsumaki was furious. You're so cunning, king, you actually let me deal with a weakling from another world. Just wait, when I kill these weak chickens in an instant, I will come back to settle the score with you, king. The trembling tornado rose in the air, crossed his hands, pouted his mouth, and said fiercely. After finishing speaking, the trembling Tatsumaki shouted loudly at the time and space pendulum in the sky. Let me quickly deal with those guys in the other world. As for you, time and space pendulum, after I deal with them, don't bother us anymore. The trembling Tatsumaki clenched his fists and faced the sky roared loudly. At this time, the Metal Knight, the Child Emperor, and the Driver Knight were all taking out their computers to calculate the time and space pendulum in the sky. Obviously these heroes in the One Punch Man world do not take the duelists in the pirate world into their hearts at all. They think that their biggest enemy is the time and space pendulum above their heads, which is too difficult to deal with. After Yi Yu defeated various big bosses in the Hokage world, his body, Conqueror's, was also sharply strengthened. Yi Yu could clearly feel that he was getting stronger even with just one breath. After identifying the challenger in the world of One Punch Man, Pendulum of Time and Space also started its own introduction. Yi Yu, the defender from the world of pirates, and Shivering Tatsumaki, the challenger from the world of One Punch Man, the battle begins. Came a majestic voice. After the trembling Tatsumaki heard this, he was the first to express 100 dissatisfaction. Are you kidding me? You be asterisk 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 D time and space pendulum, you actually call me a challenger. I am a trembling Tatsumaki. How dare you ignore me like this? Only others challenge me, how can I challenge others? The trembling Tatsumaki became even more angry. I have secretly planned in my heart that in the battle later, I will deal with this boy Yi Yu properly and give him an instant kill. Only in this way can I vent my depression. At this time, the pendulum of time and space also projected projections into their respective worlds. People in the pirate world and people in the One Punch Superman world could clearly see the contestants in this duel. When the heroes in the Heroes Association saw Yi Yu's appearance, they were all completely confused. Bang Ji Yu looked confused. He originally thought that the guy from another world should still have basic fighting ability, but who knows? So weak. And he is definitely not the kind of hidden master. If he is the kind of hidden master, he will definitely be able to rely on his warrior intuition to see clearly this kid's background. But this kid has no fighting spirit at all and is definitely a rookie. Bangu relied on his martial arts master's intuition to take the lead in judging Yi Yu. The Child Emperor, the Pig God, the Vested Lord, the Metal Knight and others shook their heads one after another. It seems that although this time and space pendulum is more difficult to deal with, the people released do not pose any threat to them. Even the king is a little eager to try. If I can get in, maybe I can do it too. Isn't that kid just a bit handsome? He's not as heavy as me. Generally, handsome guys can't be beaten. I might be able to defeat this kid and brag about it in the future. The king thought in his heart of luck. But one of these people showed a rare expression of surprise. This guy is a man just like me. Bald Saitama said to himself, with an arc at the corner of his mouth that was difficult for others to notice. This scene was noticed by Genos on the side, who also looked solemnly at Yi Yu who was wearing slippers and looking carefree in the projection. On top of the arena, the trembling Tatsumaki was so angry that his teeth were chattering. I am so embarrassed this time, to be said to challenge a weakling like this. Obviously, at this time, this guy named Yi Yu is very weak in his eyes. It doesn't even have the fighting power of an ordinary weirdo. The people in the pirate world are all very calm. They are waiting for Yi Yu's victory with extremely confident eyes. People in the Hokage world were also included in the pirate world at this time, and they all believed that Yi Yu could win the final victory. That wavy Lolita, I think she has some kind of blood inheritance limit, but, no matter how perverted her abilities are, she is still vulnerable to Yi Yu. Kakashi faced the trembling Tatsumaki commented. Uzumaki Naruto on the side also lost his usual humor and nodded heavily. There was no way, this guy Yi Yu gave them such a shock. He is a godlike man in the pirate world. Even the six paths in their own world cannot defeat Yi Yu. This guy Yi Yu can be said to be extremely powerful. The trembling Tatsumaki naturally noticed the expressions of people in the pirate world. You damn guys, don't you think I will lose to this salted fish, do you? The trembling Tatsumaki pointed at Yi Yu in the air and said. It was obvious that he despised Yi Yu, a guy who seemed to be carefree. Being pointed at by the trembling Tatsumaki, Yi Yu stuck out his tongue at the trembling Tatsumaki. This little loli is really interesting. She actually thinks of herself as a weakling. Yi Yu raised the corners of his mouth slightly and looked up and down at the loli in front of him. Although he was older than his sister Fushui, she had a good figure. The trembling Tatsumaki noticed something was wrong in Yi Yu's eyes, and his cheeks turned red with embarrassment. Damn you, I'll kill you instantly. The trembling Tatsumaki said viciously. The next moment, a huge meteorite was summoned by the trembling tornado. Uchiha Madara, who was in the pirate world, saw the meteorite in the sky. He was slightly stunned at first, and then showed a disdainful expression. He was stunned for a moment because the ability of the meteorite summoned by the trembling Tatsumaki, a little lowly, was the same as his own. And the final disdain is because this meteorite is too small for me. Even I can't defeat the god Yi Yu. How can a mere little lowly summon a small meteorite and defeat the god Yi Yu? Where is God? On the other hand, people in the One Punch Man world don't think so anymore. The hero here, represented by Bang Ji Yu, directly touched his forehead with his hand, and then smiled helplessly. This guy shivering Tatsumaki, he did a little too much this time. Bang Ji Yu said helplessly, shaking his head. Yes, that young man is just a human being. The trembling tornado actually summoned a meteorite that can instantly kill ghost-level monsters. It's too exaggerated. The pig god looked weird. Said. Although he is not from our world, I still hope that Tatsumaki will not kill him. Tong Emperor also said helplessly. Above the scene, a huge meteorite hit Yi Yu, but Yi Yu had no reaction. Just kidding, even if a meteorite as big as the moon hits your Conqueror's barrier, it won't be able to break your Conqueror's defense shield, let alone such a small meteorite. Tatsumaki on the other side, after doing all this, clapped his hands. Everything is over. I can only blame you for your bad luck. Who made me have a bad temper today? The trembling Tatsumaki pouted and murmured. The news of victory that the trembling Tatsumaki was waiting for has not yet arrived. The trembling Tatsumaki opened his arrogant eyes and looked in Yi Yu's direction again. Then, the trembling Tatsumaki opened his mouth wide, widened his eyes, and his pretty face was filled with an incredible expression. The meteorite he summoned just now was shattered into pieces by Yi Yu. This scene also made the heroes of the Hero Association show shocked expressions one by one. The venerable husband widened his eyes and looked at Yi Yu, very disbelieving and shaking his head, as if he had seen some illusion. Is this kid really that powerful? Even I, the venerable waistcoat, may not be able to withstand this meteorite attack. This kid actually withstood it. What ability did he use to resist it just now? The venerable waistcoat said incredulously. The child emperor was even more confused, and narrowed his eyes, revealing his state of thinking. According to my calculations just now, the character Yi Yu seems to have an invisible defense shield with a diameter of up to a kilometer. Emperor Tong murmured, and at the same time opened his laptop, which had a simulated image of the Conqueror's defense shield around Yi Yu. The heroes around them all poked their heads and looked around. If you put it this way, this 1,000-meter defensive shield can even resist meteorites. It is really difficult to break through. Bang Ji Yu said thoughtfully. Atomic Samurai chuckled, he still believed that the trembling Tatsumaki would win. After all, even I don't know the true strength of Tatsumaki, that's for sure. The blow just now was definitely a random blow from Tatsumaki. The true strength of the trembling tornado has not yet been fully released. On the duel field, hey, you guys, it looks like you have two brushes. The trembling Tatsumaki said to Yi Yu with interest. The tiredness on Yi Yu's face just now gradually disappeared. Yi Yu found this little lowly quite interesting. Aren't you very weak, Tatsumaki? Yi Yu said with a smile. Hearing Yi Yu say that he was weak, Tatsumaki, who was trembling, became furious again, and the pink fist in his hand made a crackling sound. You guy, how dare you look down on me? I will never let you go. The trembling Tatsumaki roared at Yi Yu. The heroes in the Hero Association were shaking their heads one by one. The kid in the picture is going to suffer. No one can resist the true anger of the trembling tornado. After saying that, the trembling Tatsumaki directly activated his superpower. Huge buildings on the ground, fragments of rocks, and even big trees were uprooted, all gathered together to form a huge palm. This is my superpower, I'm going to shoot you to death. The angry Tatsumaki roared loudly. He was actually being ridiculed by a careless guy. This was something that the trembling Tatsumaki couldn't bear. The people in the Hero Association were completely dumbfounded when they saw this scene. Tatsumaki, you guy, you went a little too far this time. Bang Gu's eyes almost flew out. Child Emperor, Metal Knight. The Atomic Samurai and others also complained that with the trembling Tatsumaki's temper, they would definitely penetrate this so-called pirate world. But Yi Yu still had a smile on his face. Let's see who has the bigger hand. I'm good at this, Yi Yu said with a smile. At the same time, Yi Yu directly used his Conquerors, and a huge Conqueror's palm instantly formed in the sky. The entire sky instantly became extremely gloomy, and streaks of lightning fell from the sky. This made Miss Tatsumaki completely confused, with a look of shock on her face. Yi Yu's Conqueror's giant palm appears with much more fighting spirit than the trembling tornado. Everyone in the pirate world had smiles on their faces. Huh, if you want to kill Yi Yu instantly, you don't have to weigh how many pounds you have. There are many people who want to kill Yi Yu instantly, but their final results are not very good, and they are basically killed instantly. Now, this so-called bullshit world of One Punch Man is a good eye-opener. Are you kidding me? The trembling Tatsumaki's eyes flew out. It's really hard to believe that this guy Yi Yu, this guy with a plain appearance, a carefree guy, and even wearing slippers, can be so scary. No. Impossible, absolutely impossible. The trembling Tatsumaki murmured with trembling lips. Then, he quickly calmed down, and a glimmer of light flashed in his eyes. I don't believe it. I am the strongest, and I want to defeat you. The trembling Tatsumaki said without giving up. The trembling Tatsumaki didn't dare to hide anything from himself this time. A light flashed on his body, and the trembling Tatsumaki's whole body began to tremble. Even her own hair stood up at this moment. Powerful telepathy instantly filled the entire space, and a hand even larger than Yiyu's appeared. After finishing all this, Tatsumaki was obviously a little exhausted and even had trouble speaking. However, it was obvious that he was still very satisfied with his work. Ha ha ha, let you, this guy, taste my power. The trembling Tatsumaki said loudly. Is my attack this time much more powerful than yours? Tatsumaki smiled evilly. When the One Punch Man world saw this attack from the tornado, they all froze in place. Even they have never seen the terrifying power of Tatsumaki. Can Tatsumaki use his powerful telekinesis to deal with Yiyu? Chapter 229 Destroy a planet with one strike. Now, this guy named Yiyu will definitely die. He is just an ordinary human being, not a weirdo at all. Is Yiyu going to be killed by the trembling tornado like this? In the pirate world, people at this time were slightly shocked when they saw such a huge summons from the tornado. It is really unimaginable that this little loli's young body could hide such terrifying power. But the people in the pirate world were obviously just surprised. As for the idea that Yiyu would lose, this thought never appeared in their hearts for a moment. Kid looked at the little loli's abilities on the dual field and his eyes widened. He never thought that Tatsumaki's abilities were quite similar to his own. No. Kid continued. My ability can only attract those iron tools, and this guy named Tatsumaki, it is obvious that his attraction is not just iron tools, but everything in this world. Kid shouted loudly. Obviously, just from the perspective of ability level, the ability level of this guy named Tatsumaki is definitely higher than his own. I think her ability should be called telekinesis. Hawkins slowly stood up with the card in his hand and said. Psychic power. Kid suddenly raised his head and said in disbelief. Can you reach this point just by thinking? This kind of mental power is even stronger than my own ability. Apu also looked serious. So, those guys from another world are not weak, even a little loli can be so powerful. So what? What a pity. Our defender this time is Yiyu, that little loli named Tatsumaki. He's going to be defeated. Kira also walked over and said solemnly. No one would refute Kira's words. No matter how powerful she is, her opponent is Yiyu. That Yiyu who can defeat even gods. The Revolutionary Army group at the Tianlong headquarters looked at this guy from another world and were slightly stunned. This guy's ability to smile is somewhat similar to that of Fujitora, who was recently recruited into the army. But, facing Yiyu, haha, no matter how powerful her ability is, what's the use? The Shimon King looked at the little loli and even sympathized with her. Revolutionary Sora also curled his lips. Yeah, no matter how powerful the ability is, what's the use? Yiyu's ability can restrain everything. Yes, so many battles, I agree with this with both hands. Sabo also said. Even people in the Hokage world are not optimistic about tornadoes at this time. Uchiha Madara showed a very disdainful look at Tatsumaki. Uchiha Madara put his hands on his chest with a look of contempt on his face. HMPH, do you also want to dance? He is an opponent that even I, Uchiha Madara, cannot defeat. You, a weak woman from another world, are you worthy? Madara was very disdainful. Isn't it just telepathy? Although the gathered things look very huge, they are completely vulnerable to Yiyu. Although each of the five shadows was shocked by Tatsumaki's superpower, they also knew that Yiyu was a more terrifying existence than Tatsumaki. Faced with Yiyu, it is impossible for anyone in this world to defeat him. Sage of Six Paths also kept shaking his head. Even the moon he summoned was smashed into pieces by Yiyu with an easy blow, like a gathering of broken stones, trees, soil, etc. What is it? It's just a chaotic collection, and it's not at the same level as Yiyu's gathered chakra. The members of the Whitebeard Pirates, Marco, Foil Beasta, and Diamond Josie, all looked to the sky, with a hint of amusement in the corners of their mouths. Ha ha ha, it seems that there are quite a few strong men in this different world. It's just a pity that their opponent is Mr. Yiyu. Mr. Yiyu cannot be defeated. Marco said with a laugh from below. Whitebeard, Golden Lion, Garp and other strong men from the older generation also had smiles on their faces, watching this battle that had no suspense. On the duel field, two terrifying forces finally began to collide. It can be said that there is no suspense. After coming into contact with Yiyu's Conqueror's palm, the collection of objects summoned by the trembling tornado was like tofu and was slapped all over the ground by Yiyu's Conqueror's palm. Ah, the trembling Tatsumaki opened his red lips and his eyes widened. He really couldn't believe that his hard-fought attack could be solved so easily by Yiyu. Those stones, soil, and wood chips splashed everywhere across the planet in an instant, and even formed a layer of thick fog, blocking the sky even darker. If it weren't for Yiyu's Conqueror's palm, which triggered a strange vision in the world, carrying various lightnings, and bringing a glimmer of light, the trembling tornado would probably not even be able to see Conqueror's palm anywhere. How is that possible? How is that possible? After so many years, since I became a hero of this hero association, this is the first time I have encountered such a situation. The heroes who were drinking tea in the Hero Association headquarters building before saw Yi Yu's Conqueror's giant palm, and after casually neutralizing the tornado's attack, the tea spurted out of their cups one by one. The atomic warrior widened his eyes and kept rubbing his eyes. What's going on? What's going on? I saw it right. Shuddering Tatsumaki, she is the second-ranked boss of the Heroes Association. A single blow that gathered all her power was so easily diffused by Yi Yu. Atomic Samurai said with shock on his face. Bangu on the side also stood up straightly with his beard. As this guy so powerful. As a first-generation master, I didn't realize how powerful Yi Yu's aura was at the beginning. That is to say, Yi Yu's ability has far surpassed mine by more than one level, so I couldn't notice it. It's scary, it's really scary. Bang Ji Yu said in disbelief. The pig god, zombie man, and baseball man all had shocked expressions on their faces. Only one person showed excitement at this time. A man like me, he is a man like me. Saitama said excitedly. For so many years, I have been listless because I can't find a man as strong as myself. However, today, the powerful strength Yi Yu showed made Saitama believe that he had finally found an opponent who could compete with him. This feeling of excitement accelerated Saitama's blood circulation and made his face turn red. Genos noticed teacher Saitama's abnormality, and sat next to Saitama, speaking in a low voice to Saitama. Teacher Saitama, does that man really have the same strength as you? Genos said in disbelief. In my heart, Saitama is simply invincible. He was not interested in any enemy, just because the opponent was too weak. Genos was shocked that such a powerful teacher would be so excited and said that person had the same strength as himself. That's right, Genos, that man, he has the same power as me. I really want to fight him. Saitama said excitedly. After so many years, I haven't even met anyone who can withstand my punch. I finally met the blind man, how could I not hope to have a good fight with the slipper man in front of me? After Genos received teacher Saitama's affirmation, he looked at Yi Yu in the sky with his head. Then he was stunned. Speaking of it, this guy Yi Yu is somewhat similar to Mr. Saitama, they are both so lazy and listless. A strong person. This is definitely as strong as Saitama-sensei. Genos was in awe and thought to himself with a solemn expression. On the battlefield, the trembling Tatsumaki hurriedly activated his abilities to prevent Yi Yu from slapping down Conqueror's palm on him. Powerful telepathy flew towards the sky, and even the air seemed to be distorted by this terrifying telepathy. But when facing Yi Yu's Conqueror's giant palm, this terrifying power of thought seemed to be hindered by something, unable to stop the advancement of Sky's huge palm at all. How is this possible? Could it be said that my ability has been affected in this arena? The trembling Tatsumaki still refused to admit defeat, a rare serious expression flashed across his eyes. The trembling Tatsumaki's hands began to tremble, but no matter how hard he tried, he could not stop the terrifying giant palm at all. That giant palm that blocks out the sky and makes the sun and moon dim, in Tatsumaki's heart, is like a towering tree that cannot be shaken at all, and he is just a small grass next to the big tree. Yi Yu, who was flying in the air, raised the corners of his mouth slightly, revealing a trace of teasing. With your abilities, you still can't stop me, Tatsumaki, you lost this battle. Yi Yu spoke to Tatsumaki in a tone of seniority. This tone completely made Tatsumaki angry, with a look of madness on his face. He has always been a proud person, when had he ever suffered such humiliation? A careless guy dares to look down on himself. In an instant, the trembling Tatsumaki roared, layers of veins appeared on his forehead, and the long hair on his body and skirt were swaying in the wind. The terrifying power was emitted from the inside of Tatsumaki's body. Tatsumaki, who was in a hurry, was ready to defeat this arrogant guy Yi Yu even if he overdrew his own strength and made himself comatose for 3 days and 3 nights. Suddenly, a terrifying thought force spread across the entire space. The land beneath the tornado cracked directly, as if being pulled by something huge, and the entire planet's land was uprooted. In an instant, the entire Earth was stirred by the trembling tornado, and they rushed towards Yi Yu in the sky desperately. Oh, Yi Yu, who was in the sky, was slightly startled. He had never thought that this little loli had such abilities when her combat power was at full strength. However, reality is ruthless. Yi Yu's Conqueror's giant palm struck the little loli again without any pause. Your power is far from enough, trembling tornado. Yi Yu said lightly in the sky. The collision between heaven and earth began, and the entire planet was filled with the power between the two. As soon as the two came into contact, there was a loud bang. The terrifying power struck, and the entire planet within the dual field trembled. Bolts of lightning fell from the sky, and the sea on the simulated planet roared directly, and waves of waves kept lapping at the coast. In the collision zone in the air seemed to be compressed, and sonic booms were emitted one after another in the sky. The harsh sound caused people in the One Punch Man world and the pirate world to cover their ears, but their eyes were still looking at the dual field. I really didn't expect that Tatsumaki actually has such terrifying power in his body. He should be able to win now, right? The venerable shirt said in shock. However, after the violent collision, the earth, mountains and rocks that had been carried towards the sky by the tornado's telepathy fell straight down from the sky piece by piece after the collision. Yi Yu's Conqueror's giant palm was once again exposed in the sky. Looking at the sky, Tatsumaki was completely stunned, his lips kept trembling, and his throat felt itchy. The trembling Tatsumaki coughed twice, swallowed a mouthful of saliva, and murmured. I didn't expect to be so scary. Tatsumaki. The blow that overstretched my body, actually, lost in the end. Until the last moment, Tatsumaki couldn't believe that he would lose to a carefree young man wearing slippers. A huge word, death, also appeared directly above the head of the tornado. Tatsumaki wanted to continue doing something, but then he realized that his body was severely overdrawn and he could no longer do anything. With a plop, the trembling tornado fell directly to the ground. This is the feeling of death. I never thought that I would experience this feeling again in my lifetime. At this time, the pendulum of time and space in the sky emitted a ray of light, and the next moment, a trembling tornado appeared directly in the Heroes Association. And Yi Yu's blow hit the dual field hard, causing the whole world to shake. A large number of volcanoes completely erupted when Yi Yu's Conqueror's giant palm hit the ground. The sea became extremely hot due to the eruption of magma, and a large amount of water vapor emerged instantly. There were bursts of lightning and thunder in the sky, and streaks of lightning appeared from the sky, hitting the sea non-stop. This scene not only shocked the One Punch world, but also the people in the pirate world. This was also the first time they had seen Yi Yu's terrifying strength. Although he was powerful before, they had not seen Yi Yu's ability to destroy a planet with just one blow. This time, I saw Yi Yu destroying a planet with one strike. If Yi Yu had had this strength back then, even the former god of their world, would have been completely killed by this terrifying attack. This is Yi Yu's true power. Chapter 230 The Universe Emperor Poros invites Yi Yu to fight. The people in the world of One Punch Man were completely shocked when they saw the scene in front of them. There is no doubt that if the guy from the time pendulum hadn't saved Tatsumaki, they would have believed that Tatsumaki, a Lolita, would have been shot to death on the spot. Is there such a terrifying guy in another world? Bang Ji Yu said in disbelief. I thought that over the years, I had encountered countless powerful people, many of whom were more terrifying than tornadoes. But for a guy like Yi Yu who was so powerful that he could destroy a planet with one blow, this is the first time I encountered it. God level weirdo, the baseball man said with a shocked face. There is no doubt that a guy who can destroy a planet with one blow is definitely a god-level weirdo. Even if we, the entire Hero Association, fight against such a terrifying opponent, I'm afraid we won't be able to win the final victory. The pig god was so frightened that he sat down on the ground, unbelievable, said. It can be seen that there is a hint of fear in the pig god's eyes. Geno's widened his eyes even more. Saitama-sensei was right. The man in front of him definitely had the same fighting power as Saitama-sensei. This was enough to shock him for a long time. He once thought that there is no one in the world whose fighting power can match Saitama, but now I truly feel Saitama's terrifying existence. In the world of One Punch Man, at this time, in the distant starry sky, a huge spaceship has landed in the world of One Punch Man. The person on top of this huge spaceship is none other than the universe of this world. Overlord, Boros. The typical symbol is Boros's one eye. At this time, Boros's huge eyes are looking towards the Earth. According to the divination prophecy, when I go to Earth, I will meet a man whose strength can compete with mine. I hope he will not disappoint me this time, Boros said excitedly as he looked at everything on Earth. However, I still have some doubts in my heart. After all, it is just a prophecy. An opponent with the same strength as myself, are you kidding me? I have been searching for hundreds of years in this vast universe, but I have never found a guy with strength comparable to myself. In a situation where my body functions are restricted by the armor and cannot fully stretch, I haven't found anyone who can play two tricks with me. Earth is such a weak planet. Does such a terrifying person really exist? Boros frowned slightly and thought to himself. At this time, Boros and the people on their ship happened to see the scene of Yi Yu destroying the entire world in the picture. This moment made all the people on Boros' ship completely shocked. They once suspected that there was no one in this world. Maybe there is such a person, he must be a movie maker, right? That guy named Yi Yu, is he just a young boy? Are you sure that this guy can have such terrifying power that he can even penetrate a planet? How is this possible? Could it be that the legendary prophecy is true? Yes, how could there be such a terrifying human being? This level is already comparable to our Emperor Boros. Poros's men shouted loudly one by one. At this time, the sound of the space-time pendulum also rang, and the powerful sound was transmitted to the direction of the Boros spacecraft. Winner, Yohane from the pirate world, One Punch Man world tornado failed. Boros looked at the sky and discovered that there was an illusion of a huge time-space pendulum right next to his spaceship. Humph. Poros frowned slightly. It turns out he is a guy from another world, but it doesn't matter. As long as he is a strong man of my level, no matter which world he is in, I can fight him. Hey, this guy of yours is called the time and space pendulum. Tell me how you can fight this guy called Yi Yu. I want to fight him. Boros shouted loudly at the time and space pendulum beside the spaceship. The aura of the Overlord of the universe instantly enveloped all directions. The minions next to Boros felt the aura of Boros, and they all knelt on the ground in fear. The terror of Lord Boros, they still know very well in their hearts that as long as Boros is willing, even if he moves his fingers casually, he can kill these little minions on the spot. Regarding this, they have verified it countless times. The pendulum of time and space in the sky paid no attention to Boros. As the younger brother of Boros, Octopus Man couldn't stand it any longer. He turned on his telekinesis and wanted to knock off the pendulum of time and space. However, when he turned on his energy, he discovered that he could not cause any harm to the pendulum of time and space at all. Attack. Poros was greatly disappointed. My heart began to murmur. Are you going to fail? A-hole, I made a special trip here just to have a showdown with this guy named Yu. Damn it. Boros clenched his fists, feeling very unwilling. On the other side, inside the Heroes Association. These people naturally noticed the arrival of Boros, but at this moment, their attention was basically on Yu. Regarding the arrival of the Boros spaceship, they directly chose to ignore it. They looked at themselves, and at this time they had fallen into a tornado of complete fainting. The atmosphere of the entire scene fell into a very silent environment. You know, although Tatsumaki is the second in their hero association, because of the explosion of the first among them. He is often absent, so Tatsumaki is already the strongest among them. However, even a strong man like Tatsumaki was directly defeated by Yu from the pirate world this time. Who else can defeat Yu? At this time, the entire hero association began to realize that their disaster this time was comparable to that of a god-level weirdo. Emperor Tong sent the news to the headquarters, and the headquarters directly broadcast it through the loudspeaker. The whole world activates god-level disaster alert. Suddenly, people in the entire One Punch Man world were in chaos. Before, they thought that this disaster would be a dragon-level disaster at most. Although the time and space pendulum is a bit difficult to deal with, it is not necessarily harmful. But this time, the Hero Association headquarters directly told them through loudspeakers that this disaster would be of god-level proportions. This completely made them feel what fear is. God-level disasters, as we all know, are enough to destroy all mankind. As that guy named Yu so scary. It's over. This is a god-level disaster. In the picture just now, even the tornado failed. At first, I thought it was a genjutsu weirdo. But now the Hero Association has come to clarify. It is definitely a god-level disaster. Quote. Who can defeat the great demon King Yu this time? Not even Tornado. By the way, isn't there a hero who explodes? Why hasn't he appeared yet? People in the world of One Punch Man panicked. Regarding Yu, they directly regarded him as the big devil who destroyed their world. At this time, the sound of the pendulum of time and space rang again. Now I will announce the next contestant of One Punch Man, and we will select one from the two. Hero Association Hero Saitama, and, after hearing Saitama's name, the bald devil jumped up excitedly. That's great, Genos, did you hear that? It's my name, it's my name. Saitama said excitedly as a white light reflected from his bald head. Genos was also very happy for Teacher Saitama, but he hadn't seen his Teacher Saitama so happy for a long time. That's great, Teacher Saitama. You can finally fight with opponents of the same level as you. This feeling will definitely be great. Genos said excitedly. At this time, the heroes of the Hero Association on the side noticed something unusual about Genos and Saitama, and each of them frowned. It's over, it's over. The psychological oppression this battle has brought to our Heroes Association is so strong that we've already gone crazy before the war even started. The baseball man said helplessly, shaking his head. Forget it about Saitama, he is not an S-level hero at all. Why did Genos also go crazy? Police dog man said helplessly. Just when Genos was about to explain something to these proud heroes, the sound of the time and space pendulum in the sky rang again. The contestants include Boros, the Emperor from the universe. The Emperor of the universe, Boros. Who is he? The heroes of the Hero Association looked confused. They had never heard of such a number one figure before. At this time, Emperor Tong used his calculator to continuously calculate the spaceships parked in the sky, and finally figured out some clues. This spaceship was not created by people on Earth. This thing comes from an alien planet. Oh my god, it actually comes from an alien planet. Emperor of the universe. Universe. In that case, Boros is probably on the spaceship. A glimmer of light flashed in the child Emperor's eyes, and he murmured to the sky. At this time, the people of the Hero Association turned part of their attention from Yu to the spaceship overhead. Poros, the Emperor of the universe, if he were him, he might actually be able to fight that Saitama. Although I don't know whether the arrival of Emperor Boros of this universe is a blessing or a curse, but, there seems to be no other good solution now. The baseball man said seriously. Not only these heroes, but also the people in the One Punch Man world, all of them have excited faces. Poros, Poros. One by one, they actually shouted for Boros. After Boros looked at the shouts of the people in the One Punch Man world, he did not show any excitement at all, but instead showed a trace of disdain. Humph, I just said that no powerful person will appear on this earth. Look at these people, all they want is to rely on powerful heroes. These people, with this kind of cultural atmosphere, it is difficult to create powerful guys. At this time, the great demon King Saitama who was in the Hero Association was completely confused. I originally planned to have a good discussion and save the world, but I didn't expect that Cheng Yaojin came out halfway, and the Emperor of the Universe, Boros, came. It's really irritating. At this time, Emperor Boros on the spaceship looked at the time and space pendulum in the sky and heard his own voice under the gaze of everyone. I, the Emperor of the Universe, Boros, choose to fight. Boros punched directly from the spaceship. A hole that penetrated the entire spaceship appeared, and Boros took off directly from it. The pendulum of time and space sensed the voice of the universe Emperor Boros, and directly announced Boros's participation in the war to the whole world. Now, I announce the challenger from the world of One Punch Man, the universe Emperor Boros. People in the One Punch Man world heard this voice and shouted for Boros one by one. Saitama, who was in the Hero Association, was completely confused, with his mouth wide open and a dull look on his face. I was completely ignored. Teacher Saitama, just now you didn't express your desire to join the war right away, so you were snatched away by that universe emperor. Genos murmured. Saitama's face fell instantly. A-hole Genos, why didn't you remind me earlier? Saitama said fiercely to Genos. This made Genos feel his scalp numb when he saw it. Just kidding, the angry blow from the great demon king Saitama was not something he could bear, so he had to find an excuse. Teacher Saitama, let me get you a cup of tea first. You wait for me here. After saying that, Genos left directly. The Universe Emperor Boros was also affected by the pendulum of time and space and was sent directly to the dual field. Seeing that Boros was sent directly to the dual field, Saitama opened his mouth wide and was very depressed, with a look of despair on his face. People in the pirate world showed a slightly solemn look after hearing the title Boros. Boros, the Emperor of the Universe. Listening to this name, it seems that he is even more arrogant than the strongest man in the world, Whitebeard. Whitebeard Edward Newgate murmured. The golden lion Shiki on the side also stood up. Although we are separated by a world, I can still feel that that guy is definitely a born strong man. Golden lion Shiki said with a serious face. Heavenly Yaksha Doflamingo also noticed Boros, the explosive hairstyle, the muscles full of lines, and the calm and vicissitudes of his eyes. It is not difficult for people to feel all this. This guy is definitely a born emperor. If Boros were in their pirate world, Heavenly Yaksha Doflamingo can be sure that this Boros is definitely the owner of a Conquerors. People in the Hokage world also speak very highly of Boros. Even Uchiha Madara rarely showed a solemn expression, retracting his previous disdain for Tatsumaki, and opened his mouth slightly. This guy might be the god of the one-punch world. The ability to fly into the air and the aura emanating from his body are definitely not those of a normal earthling. Chapter 231 Emperor of the Universe, am I defeated? Uzumaki Naruto also had a look of shock on his face. It was really unimaginable that there were so many powerful people in other worlds. Kakashi also narrowed his eyes. The Emperor of the Universe, Boros, maybe he will be an opponent on the same level as Yu. Shikamaru also narrowed his eyes. If nothing else, what he can see now is Boros' ability to fly, which already shows that he is a strong man. I saw it just now. You destroyed this planet with just one palm. I've been waiting for so many years, and it's finally here. Come and compete with me. Located on the dueling arena planet, Boros looked very excited as he watched Yu directly see the gate of opening. On the other side, Yu's expression was in sharp contrast to Boros's. Yu still had a lazy attitude. Boros, right, I admit that you are indeed very strong, but... Halfway through, Yu smiled slightly. However, you are still too weak and not qualified for me. I simply cannot arouse my interest. Yu spoke to Boros without showing any mercy to Boros. Boros, who looked excited just now, was instantly confused after hearing Yu's remarks. This is a slap in the face. He is the Emperor of the Universe, and a mere human being recognized by himself should not be the supreme glory of this human being. But this human being is so good, he actually said that he is not qualified. For a moment, Boros's fingers began to tremble with anger. Don't think that you are powerful just because you can destroy a planet with one blow. I, Boros, can do this too. Boros roared at Yu. The next moment, Boros exerted force on his legs and was close to Yu in just an instant. He punched Yu hard, but Boros' fist stopped directly at a distance of 1,000 meters from Yu. Since Boros didn't watch the battle just now, Boros is very confused now. Pineapples looked at Yu in confusion, and could clearly feel that there was a layer of powerful energy material blocking Yu's surroundings. Boros' previous anger suddenly began to disappear, replaced by excitement inside. Boros, who was angry before, suddenly started laughing. Ha 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 ha, you are just like me, Yu, you are really a monster. Feeling the constant flow of conquerors around Yu, even a trace of sweat flowed from Boros's forehead. But Boros was not afraid, his ability was the same, he just showed the tip of the iceberg. You are really unlucky, Yu. My energy cannon can turn everything in this world into ashes, Boros said arrogantly. The next moment, Boros took a few steps back. The energy in his body gathered, and even Boros' whole body emitted one after another terrifying light. There was lightning and thunder in the entire sky, and bolts of lightning struck Boros' body. Boros was carrying the power of lightning, clenched his fists, and struck Yu heavily. A giant ball of powerful energy appeared instantly and flew towards Yu heavily. Because the power was too huge, the surrounding air was attacked, creating space gaps one after another in the space. Energy cannon. As soon as the sound fell, huge energy cannons exploded directly around Yu. A large amount of conquerors domineering. Under this bombardment, the outer layer of conquerors was bombarded to pieces, and every piece of conquerors fell to the ground, forming a huge hole. A burst of smoke dissipated, and Yu's conqueror's defensive shield only made some slight waves. Seeing this scene, Boros was completely dumbfounded. He didn't expect that his attack would be so unbearable. Even if it wasn't a blow after he released the restricted state, it could at least break the defense of Yu, right? However, what Boros didn't expect was that his attack would be unable to shake Yu in the slightest. At this time, a huge magma meteorite hit Boros directly on top of his head. Yang. Yu's move was entirely due to his devil fruit ability. After Yi Yu's system has been continuously upgraded, Yi Yu's own devil fruit abilities have also been greatly enhanced. The scorching sun released by Yi Yu using rock berries is as big as a moon, and what's even more terrifying is that it is surrounded by the power of magma. This made Yi Yu's entire attack look like a small sun. A terrifying heat wave struck instantly, turning the entire duel arena into a sea of fire. The air was burned by this hot breath and became extremely dry, and the sea was completely boiling under the power of this terrifying magma. The sea water on the surface of the sea directly reaches a high temperature of 100 degrees and begins to boil completely. Above the sky, there are all kinds of magma fragments, which are constantly falling from the sky. Whenever a small piece of them falls on the ground, a huge flame pit can be formed on the ground. People in the pirate world were completely dumbfounded when they saw the sun that Yi Yu summoned casually in the picture. Yi Yu. This guy Yi Yu actually summoned the sun directly. Not only is Yi Yu's conquerors, but even his devil fruit abilities are much scarier than before. Eagle Eye Mahawk looked at the sun in the sky, his eyes flashing and his face solemn. This terrifying power cannot be stopped at all. It is impossible for my slashing attack to cut off such a terrifying meteorite, not to mention, this huge meteorite is also mixed with the power of magma. Mahawk murmured. Even my vibration power can't stop it. Whitebeard also looked excited. And this terrifying sun hit Poros hard. Poros's eyes widened, and his body began to tremble. Is this your real power, Yi Yu? It's really scary. The muscles on Boros's body suddenly increased dozens of times, and the sun above his head was already approaching. Energy cannon, energy cannon, energy cannon. Boros released countless energy cannonballs in an instant. These energy cannons charged crazily in Yi Yu's direction. The sun in the sky was directly blown to pieces under the bombardment of energy cannonballs. Pieces of meteorite fragments fell from the sky, like pieces of flaming meteors. However, the huge sun summoned by Yi Yu did not suffer much damage. The huge sun finally set on the ground, and then there was a huge explosion. Under this terrifying explosion, the entire planet seemed to have come to the end. The hot explosion flames caused the temperature of the entire planet to suddenly rise by dozens of degrees. The core inside the planet has suffered a huge impact and has begun to crack. The entire planet is on the verge of destruction under this huge explosion. At this time, the time-space pendulum in the sky emitted a ray of light, which fell into the interior of the planet. The entire planet suddenly expanded 10 times, and the surface formed a land as hard as steel, and its defense power was greatly enhanced. People in the One Punch Man world were completely stunned when they saw the scene in front of them. Is this god-level power? Even the great master Bangu felt the fear in his heart when he saw the scene in front of him. This terrifying power can no longer be defeated by relying on one's own martial arts. When the mechanical heroes such as the Metal Knight saw the scene in front of them, they all had expressions of frustration on their faces. Although these metal warriors are said to be powerful in their own right, they are still unable to deal with this mysterious strike that looks like the sun. At this moment, their inner frustration reached its highest level in an instant. The universe emperors of our world have all been killed. Who in this world can stop Yi Yu, this terrifying pervert? The knife in the atomic warrior's hand fell directly, with a look of horror on his face. At this time, Saitama showed a hint of dignity. Universe Emperor Boros is very strong and he is not dead yet. Saitama said softly. When Genos heard this, he showed an incredulous expression. How could he still be alive after receiving such a terrifying blow? How is this possible? However, when this sentence came out of teacher Saitama's mouth, I absolutely believed that what the teacher said was right. Sure enough, on the duel field, the Universe Emperor Boros suddenly appeared again. With this appearance, even the body has been greatly enhanced. Ha 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 ha. You are really scary, Yi Yu. I really didn't expect that you would be so strong that you would let me lift the restriction period. For a moment, Boros's voice resounded throughout the entire two-dimensional world. Not dead. Boros is not dead yet. After hearing Boros roar, people in the One Punch Man world showed excitement and excitement. Now, their One Punch Man world is saved. The expression on the face of Universe Emperor Boros was extremely exaggerated, and it could be seen that he was very excited at this time. Can it destroy a small planet? It's terrifying. But I can do it too. This time, it's your turn to resist, Yi Yu. Boros shouted loudly. The next moment, terrifying fighting spirit emitted from Boros' body. After gathering all his energy, Boros formed a huge energy bomb in his body. Collapse star roaring cannon. With Poros's violent shout, all the energy in his body rushed toward Yi Yu. The powerful energy cut the clouds in the sky into two halves, and the entire sky seemed to split open at this moment. Under the terrifying energy, people in the One Punch Man world showed happy expressions one by one. They could see that this attack might not be any weaker than the sun that Yi Yu had summoned before. That's it, just defeat this Yi Yu, the baseball man said passionately. However, their thinking was still too naive. Yi Yu is located above the sky, with a normal facial expression. The collapsing star roaring cannon is a good name. It's just a pity, it's useless against me. After finishing speaking, a huge conqueror's fist suddenly appeared above Boros' head, which was also mixed with various lightning powers. Boros began to attack the Boros below. It was unimaginable that such a huge conqueror's giant fist had already moved thousands of meters in just one moment. Thunder exploded throughout the starry sky, and streaks of lightning streaked across the sky. The fighting spirit of both parties rose to the extreme, and finally the two terrifying energies collided. Sparks flew out in an instant, and even the planet with strengthened defenses was completely overturned by the terrifying aftermath. Boros below was still roaring, as if his roar could add some power to his star collapse roaring cannon. However, something unimaginable by Boros happened. After his star collapse roaring cannon made contact with Yi Yu's Conqueror's giant fist, it was hit by Yi Yu's Conqueror's giant fist. Boros's eyes were filled with bloodshot eyes, and he stared blankly at the Conqueror's giant fist that bombarded him above his head, completely dumbfounded. Just kidding. My star collapse roar cannon, the star collapse roar cannon that gathered all my energy, was actually beaten back by this pervert. Who is it? Who is the guy in front of me? Is he still a human being? Boros was completely confused inside. The next moment, Boros's eyes were filled with Yi Yu's Conqueror's giant fist. Boros wanted to resist, but his body could no longer produce a trace of strength. Above Boros' head, a huge word, death, suddenly appeared. Boros knew that this time, he would definitely die. Speaking of which, I am really lucky to be able to come to Earth and meet such terrifying humans. It wasn't that I found an opponent of the same level as me, but a guy who was 100 times more terrifying than me. It is endless fun to fight against such a person, even if it costs all your life. Boros closed his eyes. The purpose of his trip to the Earth had been achieved, and it was a worthwhile trip. At this time, the pendulum of time and space also played its own role. A ray of light flashed, and at the moment of death, Boros disappeared from the dual field and was recalled to the spaceship. Boros, who looked confused, looked at everything around him and once suspected that he had just dreamed. I was really defeated just now. Boros looked confused and said to himself. His subordinate, the octopus telepathic man, trembled and knelt directly in front of Boros. Lord Boros, you have indeed failed. Octopus man said cautiously. I failed. Chapter 232 Kaido, Yi Yu Conquerors Endless. On the other side, inside the Heroes Association, looking at the powerful abilities displayed by Yi Yu, these heroes were completely stunned one by one. Yi Yu, this guy actually has the power to destroy the entire planet with one strike. This kind of terrifying destructive power may have surpassed that of a god-level monster. Another world, it's really scary. Saitama on the side was happy. Yi Yu defeated the Universe Emperor Boros. So, he still has a chance. Great, Genos, so I still have a chance. Saitama touched his forehead and said excitedly. This sentence was heard by Tatsumaki on the side, who immediately sneered at Saitama. What nonsense are you talking about, Saitama? You haven't even touched the threshold of an A-level hero, yet you dare to even think about defeating that Yi Yu. Do you really think that the battles in those scenes were all illusions? The tornado soared into the air and pointed at Saitama. At this time, the sound of the pendulum of time and space rang again. One Punch Man World battle failed. Bald Cloak Hero Saitama, Martial Arts Master Bangu, please make your choice. The sound of the time and space pendulum sounded, and Bang Ji-yu frowned. Sure enough, the people in their world are so weak. No one can join the war anymore. If he and the bald guy went up there, they would definitely be killed instantly. This made Bangudu, who had always been relatively optimistic, start to become pessimistic. And Saitama, who had suffered a loss last time, screamed out this time. I, Saitama, the bald and caped hero, choose to fight. Saitama said loudly. This shout shocked the people of the Hero Association again. Bald caped man, you want to go up to fight, aren't you going up to seek death? Yes, even though Bangu plays, the chance of winning is very slim, but with the mysterious martial arts secrets, maybe our world of One Punch Man can still win the final victory. But you, the bald and caped man, are actually causing trouble for us at this time. What do you want to do? Yeah, what on earth does this bald man want to do? Just leave the fate of our One Punch Man world to him. People around him pointed at Saitama, and a dark cloud suddenly appeared above Saitama's head. Genos seemed very angry and responded with anger to everyone. What do you guys know? Teacher Saitama, he is a real strong man. At this moment, he is fighting against the great demon King Yi Yu in order to save the entire planet. It doesn't matter if you don't encourage him, but he is still here complaining about Teacher Saitama. You are simply going too far. Genos said, pointing to the people around him. The bald-caped man is very powerful. Do you still want to save the world? The heroes of the Hero Association were even more confused. Saitama was originally nervous, but they really didn't expect that even Genos would become nervous. It's true that you want to save the world. Everyone wants to save the world. Isn't this the purpose of the Heroes Association? However, the key to the problem is that you have to act within your ability, otherwise you will not only harm yourself. I'm afraid even the people you protect will be harmed. Genos, are you crazy? Can Yi Yu defeat the bald-cloaked man? Tatsumaki said arrogantly. At this time, Bangu also suddenly spoke. At this point, there is nothing we can do. We can only look at Chi Yu. Bang Ji Yu shook his head helplessly, as if waiting for trial. Just when everyone was complaining about Saitama, a light flashed in the sky and Saitama disappeared from the place. Arriving at the duel arena, Saitama looked around him up and down, jumping to the left, jumping to the right, and stepping on the soil under his feet. Oh, it's really amazing. The pendulum of time and space can actually create such a planet. Saitama murmured to himself. At the same time, Saitama also looked up at Yu who was in the sky, although the expressions of both of them looked stupid. However, it is certain that there are two terrifying fighting intentions in the entire planet, which are gradually rising. This terrifying fighting spirit is stronger than the fighting spirit produced by any previous battle. Hello, I am Saitama. My ideal is to be a real hero. Saitama cupped his fists and said to Yu in the sky. And Yu also rarely waved his hand to Saitama. I'm Yu. Do you like to bask in the sun on the beach? Yu said lightly. Although it was just a simple sentence and a simple action, these actions shocked people in the pirate world. Uchiha Madara also showed an expression of envy and hatred. You must know that Yu didn't talk to him very much. Even if he talked to him and communicated with him, he was still mocking himself. So, this bald man's treatment is much better than mine. Mihawk's eyes also showed a glint of light, and he knew Yu quite well. In all this time, how had I ever seen Yu chatting with an enemy? All this fully shows that the bald man might have the same level of strength as Yu. White-bearded Edward Newgate also narrowed his eyes and opened up his knowledge, but he could not get even a little bit of the aura of the bald man from the bald man. Hey, Golden Lion, what do you think of the bald man's strength? Whitebeard Edward Newgate asked his old friend Golden Lion. The Golden Lion narrowed his eyes and fell into thinking. I don't know, but, judging from Yu's performance, that guy must be weak. Kid, who was in the area of the red-haired pirates, as well as the red-haired Shanks, as well as the revolutionary army group far away in the Holy Land Mariajoya, all looked in the direction of the bald-caped man. People in the entire pirate world showed a strong atmosphere towards this bald head. On the other side, people in the One Punch Man world were also shocked and surprised. That terrifying demon actually spoke to a weakling like the bald man in the cape. Atomic Samurai still looked disdainful towards Saitama. In my mind, there is only the ranking of heroes, and there is no real division of strength at all. I'm so angry that guy Yu actually communicated with the bald-cloaked man. Tatsumaki, don't get this treatment. Tatsumaki shouted loudly. Bang Yu, however, had a solemn look on his face. Boros and others in the sky also had solemn expressions on their faces. The octopus man from before spoke tremblingly to Boros. Lord Poros, look, since you have met the person you want to see here, can we go back at this time? The octopus man said cautiously. When Boros heard the topic of going back raised by the octopus man, he frowned. After the octopus man felt the aura of Lord Boros, he was so frightened that he knelt on the ground. And Boros had no intention of making things difficult for the octopus man. That guy Yu shocked me so much. Even if it's a showdown between him and a weakling, I still want to see it. Poros murmured. The octopus man shivered with fear and hurriedly bowed and left. On the battlefield, Yu and the bald-cloaked man looked at each other and smiled. The next moment, the two people's fighting power was fully unleashed. Saitama stepped hard on the ground with both feet. In just a moment, a huge hole was formed on the ground. Under the strong reaction force, Saitama directly hit the sky. A deep mark slid down the entire sky, and Saitama also used his ordinary punch to hit Yu heavily. Boom. The terrifying impact hit Yu's Conqueror's defense shield directly, causing the entire Conqueror's defense shield to tremble. The ripples directly reflected the shape of Yu's Conqueror's defensive shield. It was also this punch that allowed the people around him to completely see the breadth and width of Yu's Conqueror's defensive shield. People in the pirate world exclaimed for a while. Even the white-bearded Edward Newgate widened his eyes and looked serious. I didn't expect that Yu's Conqueror's defensive shield would actually reach this level. It's almost 1,000 meters long, and they're all super conquerors. Can Yu's Conquerors be said to be endless? Whitebeard said with great emotion. The powerful people around, such as Golden Lion, Garp, Sengoku, Kaido, Big Mom and others also opened their mouths wide, with incredible expressions on their faces. Yu's Conquerors, even if it is separated a little bit, can suppress them and prevent them from moving. And now Yu actually has so many conquerors on his body. This abundant and huge number really amazed these strong men. On the battlefield, Saitama's ordinary punch hit Yu's Conqueror's defensive shield. It did not break Yu's defensive shield, but only made the entire defensive shield turbulent. He looked at the scene in front of him. There was no fear in Saitama's eyes, but an extremely excited expression. You are really strong, Yu. A rare smile appeared on Kyu's lips. I have been killing my opponents instantly for so many years, and no one can resist my punch, even my ordinary punch. But things are different now. My ordinary punch didn't even break through the opponent's defensive shield. How could I not be excited? People in the world of One Punch Man showed shocked expressions when they saw the power of the bald-caped man. Is this still their B-level hero bald-caped man? It was actually able to shake away Yu's defensive shield. From this point of view alone, the strength of the bald-cloaked man is countless times more powerful than the trembling tornado. Horrible guy. Such a guy has been in their hero association for so long, and no one has discovered it. No, someone discovered it. It was the S-level hero who had been following the bald-caped man, Genos. I originally thought that Genos would follow a B-level hero because he was crazy. But looking at it now, it's just their own group of people who were so ignorant. They didn't even recognize that there was a player within their heroes association who was as powerful as Blast. The people in the pirate world were so excited that it was the first time in such a long time that they met a player who could compete with Yu, so they all looked at the battlefield again with concentration. Yu, let us fight to the fullest. I don't believe it anymore, I can't even break through your defensive shield. Saitama looked excited. He continued to wave his fist at Yi Yu. This time, let me show you my continuous normal punches. Saitama said loudly in the air. So Saitama was located 1,000 meters directly opposite Yi Yu, waving his fists constantly, forming fist shadows one after another in front of Yi Yu. These fist shadows were as fast as lightning and extremely powerful. Punch after punch hit Yi Yu's Conqueror's barrier one after another. Under Saitama's attack, the mountains and rivers within 1,000 kilometers of the earth were changed beyond recognition due to the aftermath. Yohane's Conqueror's defense became turbulent under Saitama's continuous normal punch attacks. Finally, with a loud bang that echoed throughout the world, a large amount of Conqueror's domineering energy began to surge out crazily in all directions. A large amount of Conqueror's domineering energy poured down, and the powerful impact caused the entire planet to deform. Even the pendulum of time and space felt this terrifying power. A ray of light appeared. Under this ray of light, the previous dual field began to recover quickly. At this time, Saitama's cloak was in tatters due to the impact of this powerful force. Saitama put his hands on his chest to resist Conqueror's impact. What surprised Saitama very much was that his body, which had been tempered for so many years and was impossible to defeat, was actually covered with wounds from the impact of the leakage of Conqueror's energy. What a terrible energy. No wonder the powerful King Boros of the universe was defeated by this terrifying energy. Saitama murmured in praise. The people in the pirate world opened their mouths one by one. Is this the scene after Yi Yu's Conquerors was shattered? Marco said dully above the ground with a face of shock. I saw that on the entire screen, the entire dueling planet seemed to have been attacked by some terrible attack, and everything was in ruins. Like the end of the world. Kaido, who had seen Yi Yu being besieged by many strong men such as the Great Prison Under the Sea, also showed a very strange expression. This abundant Conquerors is hundreds of times more powerful than before. Charlotte Linlin's eyes were bloodshot. If we ever become enemies with such a terrifying guy like Yi Yu again, it only takes one move to finish us off. But, is that bald head so strong? He was able to defeat Yi Yu's defensive shield. Charlotte Linlin said very puzzled. But at this time, Kaido showed a strange expression. Linlin, don't be joking. We have broken Yi Yu's defense shield before. Have you forgotten? But, Yi Yu's defensive shield is endless, and he still has a terrifying defensive shield within close range. How can he break it? Kaido said to Linlin. Chapter 233 One Punch Man's defense shield is broken. And on the battlefield, as expected, if Kaido said it was true, after Saitama broke Yi Yu's defensive shield, he took advantage of this gap to wave his fist at Yi Yu again. But, within 10 meters of Yi Yu, his fist was stopped abruptly again. Saitama opened his mouth in shock. There is actually a huge defensive shield within 10 meters of you. Saitama said in horror with a look of shock on his face. Yi Yu smiled slightly. Actually, only the Conqueror's defensive shield within 10 meters of the body can be called a defensive shield. The Conquerors within a radius of 1,000 meters are entirely because I have too many Conquerors, so I have to keep them close to me. Yi Yu said lightly. This sentence completely shocked the people in the Whitebeard Pirates area. Yi Yu, this guy, is more terrifying than we expected every time. Golden Lion Shiki said in shock. White-bearded Edward Newgate clenched the supremely sharp knife in his hand, and the corners of his mouth slowly trembled. Perhaps, this is Yi Yu's true charm. We can never guess what level this guy's strength has reached. After bald Saitama heard this, the corner of his mouth couldn't help but twitch. Boy, this is no joke. The Conquerors that he broke through with consecutive normal punches turned out to be gathered around Yi Yu's body because there were so many Conquerors. This had a huge impact on Saitama. Okay, then I will break the defense shield within 10 meters around you in one breath. Saitama said with an angry roar. Genos, who was in the world of One Punch Man, saw Saitama's expression and was extremely shocked. In my mind, Saitama-sensei is invincible. In every battle, Teacher Saitama's expression was quite calm. But this time Genos knew that Saitama had met his biggest enemy in his life. Otherwise, Teacher Saitama would never have this expression, yelling as if he had completely lost his mind. The next moment, Saitama directly raised his huge fist, and his eyes became extremely solemn. Serious punch. Yi Yu, with my sure kill series, even the stars in the universe will be destroyed by me. I really want to see how Yi Yu can block this punch. Saitama shouted in the air. Roared. The next moment, Saitama's body bowed into a European shape, and then he used all the power in his body to hit his fist, and hit Yi Yu hard. This time he waved his fist, and the terrifying power made the surrounding air become extremely weird, the sky twisted, and the sea boiled. It was all flying sand and rocks at first. This scene was seen by people in the One Punch Superman world, and all of them widened their eyes. This is too scary. Bald-caped man. Bald-caped man. Is he really bald-caped man? Atomic Warrior's lips kept trembling. I really can't figure out why a guy who is not even an S-class hero can have such terrifying explosive power. This blow, even a god-level weirdo will be blown away on the spot. Even the trembling Tatsumaki no longer looked down upon the bald-cloaked man. He opened his mouth wide in the air with an incredible look on his face. Bangu's eyes flashed with light. Now, the bald-caped man is going to save the world. Yes, this time, our One Punch Man world is going to win. The power of this punch is countless times more terrifying than before. With a bang, Saitama's fist hit the Conqueror's barrier around Yu, who was only 10 meters away. The clouds in the sky of the entire planet were directly washed away, and even the earth began to gradually collapse piece by piece. The surrounding debris, dust, etc. were stirred up, and the entire interior of the decisive battle planet was filled with flying sand and rocks. Even the pendulum of time and space in the sky was a little too much. After B*********** G for a long time, a dazzling light appeared. After this light, the previous planet became bigger again, as big as Venus. Just when everyone thought the bald cloaked man had won, Yu's voice slowly came from the dual field. Not bad, not bad. After I obtained infinite conquerors, you are the first person who can do this, Saitama. You can actually do it. There is only 1 centimeter away from me. Yu raised the corners of his mouth slightly and said in admiration to Chi-Yu. One Punch Man world looked at the picture, and everyone was filled with emotion. 1 centimeter, just a mere centimeter distance. It's just a little bit worse, it's really a pity. Bangu geared up, worried about Saitama's 1 centimeter distance. Couldn't he use more strength to break through? The trembling Tatsumaki also had an exaggerated expression and opened his mouth wide. 1 centimeter, it's just a centimeter distance. What a shame. Atomic Samurai also frowned. Bald-caped man, can't you use some more power? But these people didn't know that Saitama was breathing rapidly at this time. Even he didn't notice it. A lot of sweat was flowing out of his forehead, and even his fists couldn't help but tremble. This distance of 1 centimeter is definitely not as simple as they imagined and can be achieved casually. Saitama has discovered that the closer Yohane's conquerors is to Yohane himself, the richer and purer its content is. And naturally, the resistance he encountered became stronger. This is also the reason why he has been unable to move forward even though he is only 1 centimeter away from Yu. It is definitely not possible to break through by adding a little bit of strength. Saitama can feel that within 1 centimeter of Yu's body, there seems to be a layer of invisible armor. It was this layer of weird invisible armor that blocked his serious punch. Yu started clapping directly. Yes, yes, One Punch Man Saitama, you really did not disappoint me. If you punch me seriously, you can actually touch me within 1 centimeter. Not bad. Yu commented to Saitama. People in the pirate world were shocked when they saw this scene. The scene in front of them seemed so familiar. It had been a long time since they had seen someone attack within 1 centimeter of Yu. And the bald man in front of me actually did this. Next, it's time for me to attack, right? Yu said with interest. The next moment, Saitama didn't even make a move, and a huge conqueror's palm appeared above Saitama's head. The terrifying palm covered the sky and sun, and struck Yu heavily. The entire ground was filled with darkness, which was very depressing. Saitama stopped his attack, looked up at the sky above his head, and directly saw the huge palm released by Yu. One Punch Man suddenly became unstable. This guy named Yu is so terrifying. It's actually possible to do this. Saitama was so frightened that he didn't dare to be careless. He bent his legs and kicked hard. A figure flashed past and he quickly dodged. The huge conqueror's giant palm struck Saitama heavily, almost touching Saitama's cheek, and Saitama had already reached the other side in an instant. There was a loud bang, and the hard planet formed with the blessing of the system collapsed directly from Yu's blow. On the entire planet, a giant palm with a depth of up to 10,000 meters has suddenly formed. It looks groggy, and it feels like you can't see the edge at a glance, which makes people feel very scary. At this time, Saitama was breathing heavily, and he could feel that if the conqueror's giant palm hit him, he would definitely be killed on the spot. It's so dangerous, it's so dangerous. Saitama murmured, panting heavily. Yu's praise came from the other side. Not bad, not bad, he actually dodged my conqueror's giant punch. Yu clapped her hands and praised Saitama. And this blow directly made the people in the One Punch Man world completely dumbfounded. Bangu's eyes immediately flew out, facing the live broadcast screen, his face was in disbelief. Are you kidding me? Is that guy named Yu's attack power so terrifying? In just a blink of an eye, in less than a blink of an eye, the terrifying attack has already hit me like a blinding force. The proud Tatsumaki on the side also kept trembling his fingers. Is this an attack that I can't control even with my own telekinesis? Even Tatsumaki himself admits that even his own superpowers are absolutely unable to resist such a terrifying attack. The atomic warrior on the side was so shocked that he dropped his sword. He had seen many strong men, but a strong man like Yu could be described as incredible. If he were to fight against him, he might not even be touched by Yu's attack. The terrifying aftermath alone would be enough to knock him back to his original form. Genos on the side had a look of horror on his face. He knew Teacher Saitama's strength. Facing any attack, Teacher Saitama will face it directly. But when Teacher Saitama faced the terrifying attack from Yu's conqueror's giant palm, he chose to avoid this strategy. This also proves that Teacher Saitama is afraid. How terrifying it must be for Yu to be able to scare Teacher Saitama. On the battlefield, after Chi-Yu witnessed Yu's attack, the fear on Chi-Yu's face unexpectedly disappeared. Instead, there was a look of excitement on his face. I'm very excited, Yu. I'm willing to fight with an opponent like you, even if I die. I've been waiting for this day for a long time. Saitama's muscles suddenly swelled, and he roared loudly at Yu in the sky. Then Saitama, the great demon king, directly attacked Yu in the sky. Just one step on the ground, and a huge hole was formed on the ground. Under the powerful reaction force, Saitama's speed reached the extreme. A sure kill series, a sure kill punch. Saitama roared loudly. At this moment, on the planet, it seemed as if the entire space of the planet was affected. A powerful punch directly caused the entire planet to undergo changes. Thunder was rolling in the sky, strong winds were roaring all around, and volcanoes erupted directly. Even the sea, which occupies the largest area, was completely boiling at this moment. Fortunately, the place where Yi Yu and One Punch Man Saitama dueled was on a planet created by the pendulum of time and space. Otherwise, all humans on the planet would be in ruins. A doomsday scene. Boom. The powerful fist streaked through the air, as if the space was directly smashed open. Due to the destruction caused by the powerful force, many space-time gaps can be seen from it. Facing this blow, Yi Yu also smiled slightly. Not bad, Saitama, this is how you look. You made me, a person who doesn't like fighting, look forward to it. Saitama licked his lips and said excitedly. Boom. There was another loud noise, and Saitama's fist hit Yi Yu's Conqueror's defensive shield directly. The defensive shield formed before was shattered again, and pieces of Conqueror's fragments flew towards the entire planet. Each piece of Conqueror's fragment can create a huge crater on the ground that can reach a depth of 10,000 meters. The entire planet is completely in ruins. Even the pendulum of time and space began to tremble. Creating a planet requires a lot of energy, so even the pendulum of time and space does not want to waste its energy at this time and continue to create larger planets. 10,000 meters, 1,000 meters, 100 meters, 10 meters, 1 meter. 1 centimeter. Finally, there was only 1 centimeter left from Yi Yu. People in the pirate world were completely shocked by the strength displayed by One Punch Man. Marco jumped up. No way, that bald head can actually reach Yi Yu's body in an instant. Could it be that Conqueror's defensive shield is going to be broken? You must know that Marco, since he met Yi Yu, has never seen a moment when Yi Yu's defense shield was shattered. This scene really shocked Marco. The Golden Lion was even more stunned. You must know that Yi Yu gave him the feeling at the beginning that Conqueror's was indestructible and at the same time invincible in defense. And after defeating Yi Yu's Conqueror's has made significant progress again. Unexpectedly, he would be defeated by a bald-caped man today. Whitebeard's face was even more solemn. The punch that the guy named Saitama used just now activated the power of a planet. You can imagine how terrifying the destructive power must be. Destroying a planet with one punch, even Yi Yu, the god of the pirate world, may not be able to evade this terrifying power, right? This made Whitebeard Edward Newgate sweat for Yi Yu. The red-haired Shanks looked at the battle in the sky and swallowed his own saliva. I really didn't expect this guy called the bald-caped man could be so scary. Red-haired Shanks said in disbelief. Beckman on the side also came over with his own cigarette in his mouth. When he saw the scene in the sky, he let the cigarette in his mouth fall from the air, with a strange look on his face. Yes, people from other worlds are quite scary. This kind of strength has surpassed that of in our world. Beckman murmured, and you could see the look in his eyes. Very shocking. Lakelu, Jesus Bu and others on the side even opened their mouths. They never thought that in another world, someone could break Yi Yu's defensive shield. Chapter 234 Naruto. One blow from Yi Yu is equivalent to tens of thousands of tailed beast jade. The Revolutionary Army group located in the Holy Land Marijoa were no less shocked than Shanks. Revolutionary Long's eyes were bloodshot. Is it possible for Yi Yu to withstand the power of destroying a planet with one punch? The Yakoku jumped up, with a very strange expression on her heavily made-up face. What should we do? If you say that, aren't our pirate world going to lose? After all, in the entire pirate world, no one among us can surpass Yi Yu, not even the previous ruler Seeing the worried look on the King's face, even Sabo, who had always been optimistic, showed a solemn expression. The people in the Revolutionary Army looked directly to the sky. But Kaido and Big Mom, these four emperors, seemed a little calm, because they were the only ones who had ever seen Yi Yu's terror. When Yi Yu's Conqueror's defensive shield is defeated, a new barrier will still appear. So, they are not worried at all. It's just as Big Mom and Kaido expected. On the battlefield, Saitama's fist struck hard, shattering Yi Yu's defense within the last centimeter. Then Saitama showed a look of excitement, he was indeed the strongest. However, this excited expression only stayed on Saitama's cheek for a moment. The next moment, Saitama's expression gradually became extremely weird. It turns out that at the moment Yi Yu Conqueror's defensive shield was shattered, a new defensive shield was formed again. Saitama immediately made a confused expression, and the corners of his mouth kept twitching. This is too scary. He gathered all his strength and launched a series of fatal punches. Unexpectedly, he only broke one of Yi Yu's defensive shields. According to Saitama's own intuition, he absolutely believes that this guy Yi Yu has unlimited Conqueror's defensive shields. This made Saitama feel a little numb for a moment. He has encountered quite a few strong men in his life. Even if he is a real god, Saitama absolutely believes that he can defeat him. But in front of Yi Yu, Chiyu realized that he was wrong, a big mistake. This was the first time that I felt the terror of a true master. I was just a frog in the well before. Only after seeing Yi Yu's strength did Saitama realize how ridiculous he was. In front of a truly strong man, his title of One Punch Man is simply not good enough. Facing Saitama, who could break through his Conqueror's defensive shield with one punch, Yu started to clap his hands non-stop. Yes, Saitama, you are indeed powerful. I didn't expect that even though I'm like this, you could actually break my defense barrier. It's just, what a pity, my conquerors are endless. After finishing speaking, the phoenix fruit in Yu's body was activated, and a large number of conquerors emerged, instantly forming a huge conqueror's defense shield within a kilometer around Yu. As for Saitama, due to the rapid gathering of Yohan conquerors, he was directly driven to the ground. Falling straight, there was a loud bang. A human-shaped concave pattern was directly formed on the dueling planet. Saitama was directly impacted by the aftermath of Yu's conquerors, and was impacted within 10,000 meters of the Earth. Within 10,000 meters of this planet, there is strong magma, and the terrifying magma is burning Saitama. But Kyu knew that the burning magma inside, which was as high as 10,000 degrees, was nothing compared to Yu's attack power. And this weird scene on the battlefield completely made people in the Hokage world crazy. After seeing such a terrifying blow from Yu, people in the Hokage world directly regarded Yu as a god. Only God can do this. Yeah, even if the Sage of Six Paths can open up the world, what does it mean in front of Yu? He didn't even break one of his defensive shields, but this bald man finally broke one of Yu's Conqueror's defensive shields. Some of the ninja coalition began to show their admiration for Yu. In fact, this is understandable. Because, even the arrogant Uchiha Madara opened his mouth into a European shape at this time, swallowing saliva in his throat, and coughing for a while. This guy named Yu, what he showed in the previous battle with me is just the tip of the iceberg. Sage of Six Paths also frowned tightly. He could not even see Yu's strength clearly. According to what the bald man said, there are countless defensive shields that even he can't break. How can Yu's enemies fight? With such a perverted ability, wouldn't it be bullying to fight with the enemy? Uzumaki Naruto, Kakashi, Gaara and others opened their mouths in shock and did not say a word. In addition to being deeply shocked, their hearts were still shocked. People in the world of One Punch Man were completely shocked when they saw the scene in the projection. They didn't say a word at this moment, but from their expressions, it was not difficult to see that they even felt horrified. Tatsumaki, who had always been arrogant, was completely conquered by Yu this time, and he no longer dared to be arrogant at all. Endless energy, a blow that destroyed the world, only destroyed one of Yu's conqueror's defensive shields. How can the bald-caped man play? And Genos, the robot, felt fear for the first time. His teacher has been driven into the ground 10,000 meters deep. How can he still fight this battle? It's unbelievable that the world of One Punch Man is really going to fail. Genos thought helplessly. The people in the pirate world breathed a sigh of relief at this time. Kaido and Big Mom proudly spoke to the white-bearded Edward Newgate. Old guy, you don't understand Yu so well. Even we are not worried. Why are you so worried? Yu's conquerors are not only endless, but what's even more terrifying is his fusion of conquerors. He hasn't used this ability yet. Kaido and Big Mom said with smiles. People in the Hokage world heard the conversation between Kaido and Big Mom, and they all became completely autistic. If what these two people said is true, then the strength Yu has shown until now is just the tip of the iceberg. So scary, even one of the conqueror's shields. Even strong men like Uchiha Madara in their Hokage world and Sage of Six Paths cannot break it. What's more, this guy Yu actually has countless conquerors' defensive shields. In other words, in the previous battle, Yu was completely fooling around with Uchiha Madara and Sage of Six Paths. Moreover, what is even more terrifying is that people in the pirate world just said that this guy Yu has other terrifying abilities, which instantly made the people in the Hokage world completely break their defenses. The Yu they imagined was always just the tip of the iceberg in imagining Yu's true strength. At this time, the battle in the fighting place was still continuing. Saitama in the One Punch Man world is worthy of the title of One Punch Man. After falling into a 10,000-meter pit, Saitama jumped up from the pit again, and the burn marks on his body could be seen. However, compared to these, Saitama didn't care at all. Facing the aftermath of Yohane's Conqueror's attack, Saitama waved his fists again. Thank you so much, Yu. Because of you, I broke the limiter again. One Punch Man Saitama said excitedly and proudly to Yu in the sky. Since I became invincible in this world, I haven't tasted this feeling for a long time, and I haven't broken the limiter for a long time. However, Yu's oppression of him and the terrifying power allowed Saitama to break the limiter in a desperate situation. Saitama's strength has once again been qualitatively improved compared to before. A sure kill series, consecutive sure kill punches. The veins on Kyu's face protruded directly. The muscles on his body were strong to the limit. The exaggerated lines looked very scary. Even because of the breaking of the limiter this time, Kyu Jade looked a bit ferocious. The entire planet became trembling because of Saitama's big move, and a huge earthquake occurred on the ground. It's hard to imagine that all this is just because Saitama's punch is too powerful. After Yu saw Saitama's transformation, he rarely smiled again. Yes, you broke the limiter, which means you are more terrifying than the One Punch Man in the comic. Yoyu said with an arc at the corner of his mouth, praising Saitama. Even the time and space pendulum felt a hint of danger. The light in the time and space pendulum kept flashing, ready to rescue the current dilapidated arena at any time. After Yi Yu expressed his appreciation for Saitama, he was also ready to make Saitama happy. In an instant, 5 conquerors of different colors appeared in the sky. The red conqueror's giant ball is filled with strange magma power. The transparent conqueror's giant ball was filled with vibrating power, and even the space was shaken, causing bursts of space cracks. The white conqueror's giant ball caused the temperature within a radius of 10,000 kilometers to suddenly drop by several hundred degrees. The powerful freezing force froze the surrounding air into ice cubes. The yellow conqueror's giant ball, with a strange yellow light emitting from its entire body, is located at the forefront of all conqueror's giant balls, and its speed has reached the first place. There is also a purple conqueror's ball, which is filled with all kinds of lightning. Under the powerful energy, the surrounding air becomes still. In an instant, the entire sky was filled with these terrifying energies. Saitama looked at the sky with a desperate expression. With his current state, he can clearly sense that any one of the 5 energy groups in the sky can easily destroy a huge planet. But this time, 5 of them suddenly appeared. A terrifying sense of oppression came over instantly. Saitama felt numb in his heart. Although he is very powerful now, Saitama has absolute confidence and is even stronger than before. Saitama also felt tremendous self-confidence. But after facing these 5 terrifying energy groups in the sky, the confidence that I had before disappeared again in an instant. The people in One Punch World have the same thoughts as Saitama at this time. Before, they thought that Saitama, who broke the limiter, could defeat Yi Yu and led them to victory. But when they saw the 5 energy groups in the sky, they were all completely shocked. The expression on Bangu's face was extremely weird. He looked at the 5 energy groups in the sky with a complicated expression. With so many years of experience as a martial arts master, he can naturally see the abnormalities in the 5 energy groups in the sky. Any one of these terrible energies can destroy this world. And that guy named Yi Yu actually made 5 of them at once. Is that guy Yi Yu a devil? Bang Ji Yu said with a horrified expression. The Metal Knight, Child Emperor and others took out the machines in their hands and took photos and analyzed the Conqueror's energy group in the sky. When they saw the super clear picture they had developed, each one of them began to swallow their saliva crazily. From the surrounding energy clusters in these pictures, we can analyze how terrifying the energy sputtered by this terrifying energy cluster is. I really didn't expect that such a thing would happen. These energy groups, each has a special ability. The Child Emperor looked shocked. Metal Knight also echoed. Yes, every energy group possesses not only terrifying power, but also special abilities. These special abilities are combined with what Yi Yu's world calls conquerors. Metal Knight followed the explanation. The Atomic Warrior was incredulous after hearing this. 5 different abilities, combined with energy groups. Does it have the same ability as our hero? Tell me. The Atomic Warrior on the side asked curiously. It should be about the same as our hero's abilities. However, those are magma, frost, light, vibration, lightning, these terrifying abilities. The Tong Emperor explained the abilities he had analyzed one by one, which made everyone present take a breath. These abilities, if any of the weirdos in their One Punch Man world acquire them, will be devastating abilities. But I never thought that Yi Yu, this terrifying demon king, would suddenly have 5 of them. And his extremely powerful conquerors, how can the bald-caped man play with this? In this case, even if Saitama breaks the limiter, I think the final result will still be our failure. Bangu clenched his fist and said unwillingly. But there is nothing they can do. The strength shown by this guy Yi Yu is really terrifying. Facing a terrifying opponent like Yi Yu, their only choice is failure. People in the Hokage world looked at the move released by Yi Yu, and everyone held their breath and remained silent for a long time. In the end, it was Shikamaru who spoke first. Yi Yu, even if it's a different world, is there really such a terrifying human being as Yi Yu? This kind of fighting power can no longer be described by simply terrifying. Naruto Uzumaki was dumbfounded at the sight, swallowed his own saliva, and nodded crazily. I can feel these terrifying energies. Any one of them is tens of thousands of times more powerful than my largest tailed beast Jade. You can imagine what it would be like if tens of thousands of super tailed beast Jade exploded at the same time. Chapter 235 Saitama's Limiter Theory. Eight Tails Killer Bee danced directly on the side, and the lyrics were all about praising Yi Yu's terrifying power. This made Raikage have to touch his forehead. His younger brother was really big-hearted. Even though he was like this, as the defeated party, he actually danced a magical dance for Yi Yu. Kakashi, 4th Hokage, Orochimaru and other people with relatively high IQs all kept shaking their heads. The pirate side was completely boiling this time. They had seen Saitama's strength before, and were a little afraid that Yi Yu would not be their opponent. Therefore, represented by the Whitebeard pirates, Whitebeard, Marco, Josie and others had some doubts about whether Yi Yu could defeat the bald-caped man. After all, Yi Yu had never seen such a powerful enemy before. But when Yi Yu released 5 Conqueror's giant balls in the sky, they regained their confidence again. These 5 Conqueror's giant balls can destroy the dual field many times. This is also the first time they have seen such a brand new Yi Yu since Yi Yu fought with IM. Mihawk's eyes flashed with gleams of light, his lips trembled, and his face looked excited. Did Yi Yu's true strength finally show? This terrifying fighting power, I don't know how many times more terrifying than before. Mihawk was so excited that he held the black sword in his hand and struck the sky with a terrifying slash. The golden lion on the side was amazed after seeing it. Mihawk, the former world's greatest swordsman, you really are there. Just by watching Yi Yu's game, you broke through again. Golden Lion Shiki said enviously from the side. A smile appeared on Mihawk's lips. If I can't figure out a single move from this unprecedented battle, I think I will be sorry for my title as the world's greatest swordsman. Mihawk said excitedly, without a doubt. The previous slashes have proven that one's own strength has been raised to a higher level again. Now Mihawk is in a very comfortable mood. However, the speaker was unintentional, but the listener was intentional. After hearing these words, Golden Lion Shiki curled his lips. Good guy, you mean we didn't make a breakthrough and we're sorry for our title? As a result, the Golden Lion Shiki also began to display his abilities, and a large number of buildings rose directly from the ground. And the white-bearded Edward Newgate, after hearing the conversation between the Golden Lion Shiki and the Hawkeye Mihawk, was also a little dissatisfied. After all, one of the abilities Yi Yu displayed was his power of vibration. After watching so many games of Yi Yu, I should have realized something. As long as he can master the power of vibration to the extent that Yi Yu can master 1/10 of the power of vibration, he will have made a qualitative leap. So the white-bearded Edward Newgate, who was dissatisfied with his old age, directly activated his own power of shock. In an instant, the entire land began to tremble, and even the bottom of the sea directly caused a sea earthquake, and the entire sea roared. The entire Whitebeard pirates instantly rolled their eyes one by one. Moreover, even the people in the newly planned Hokage world were affected. Although the power of these vibrations is still difficult to penetrate Six Paths level masters like Uchiha Madara, Sage of Six Paths, and Naruto Sasuke. However, this terrifying power of shock made ordinary shadow level experts look shocked one by one. The most shocking among them is Grandmaster Earth Style's Onoki. His Earth style can move mountains and seas, but it is somewhat inferior to Whitebeard's shock power. I really can't believe that there are so many strong people in this world. Onoki, who has always been tough, said silently after seeing the disaster level attack brought by Whitebeard. He originally thought that the people in this world would not be that strong in fighting ability, but now he found that he was wrong. The man with the lion's head, the sword-wielding swordsman, and the white-bearded old man, there are already 3 shadow-level strong men in the pirate world. Before he finished speaking, even Kizaru, a usually lazy guy, started to take action. 8-foot beautiful Magatama. In an instant, a large number of light cannonballs poured down instantly. One after another, the cannonballs all hit the sea, causing the already turbulent sea to shake even more under Kizaru's attack. At this moment, a large number of masters showed vague signs of breakthroughs because they saw the reasons behind Yi Yu's competition. The entire pirate world ground was very lively for a while. Of course, Yi Yu, the protagonist, didn't know at this time that he just casually showed off some real skills, which would actually cause an uproar in the pirate world. At this time, Yi Yu narrowed his eyes slightly and was waiting for Saitama's fist. Continuous killing punches. This time, Saitama directly overdrawn the energy inside his body, and terrifying fists appeared instantly. Before the fist arrived, a powerful fist wind had already appeared, and hundreds of giant tornadoes formed by Saitama's fist wind instantly formed on the entire duel field. Suddenly, the entire duel arena changed dramatically. The pendulum of time and space on the side trembled again, and even the light dimmed a little. Seeing all this, Yi Yu felt a little suspicious in his heart. Is the power of the time and space pendulum really weak? Although the collision attack between himself and Saitama is indeed very powerful, but it is far from reaching the point where the pendulum of time and space is dimmed, right? Moreover, Yi Yu also discovered that the pendulum of time and space during the battle between Yi Yu and Saitama did not make the planet larger and more resistant to beating. This made Yi Yu have to wonder, is the time and space pendulum about to run out of energy? However, after only thinking for a moment, Yi Yu refocused his attention on One Punch Man Saitama. During the battle, Saitama's fist collided with Yohei's Conqueror's giant ball. Suddenly, a large amount of energy aftermath began to shoot out crazily in all directions, centered on Yohei and Saitama. Pieces of Conqueror's fragments were repelled by Saitama's fist and scattered all over the planet. A small piece of Crimson Conqueror's fragment fell into a lake. The previously calm lake boiled completely under the influence of this Conqueror's fragment. A large amount of water vapor appeared in an instant, forming a heavy fog that could not dissipate for a long time. The previous lake was completely evaporated in just 1 minute, leaving only a huge lake hole. From this, it is not difficult to imagine how terrifying Yi Yu's magma Conqueror's fragments are. A white fragment of Conqueror's fell into an ocean. The sea that was still turbulent before was instantly frozen 3 feet under the influence of Yi Yu's fragment of Conquerors. The entire sea within a radius of 10,000 kilometers has turned into an ice sculpture. Waves of cold air are constantly released from the surface of the sea, causing the surrounding temperature to drop by dozens of degrees. This is the terrifying thing about Yi Yu's frozen Conqueror's fragments. There were also yellow light Conqueror's fragments scattered on a majestic mountain. The entire mountain exploded instantly. Pieces of fragments slid from the mountain and fell all over the ground. A small piece of it fell directly. Entering a river, the river that was so smooth before was instantly cut off. Conqueror's fragments, which contained the power of vibration, even landed on a piece of hard ground. Above the duel field, the hard ground comparable to rocks was directly shaken by this terrifying force of vibration, causing ravines everywhere, and cracks spreading to all sides. The entire ground is filled with bottomless ravines. There were also fragments of Conquerors representing lightning, which were thrown into the air, and instantly the whole world was filled with lightning and thunder. Obviously, the world in front of us is hell and the end of the world. And this is just the collision between Yohane's Conquerors and Saitama's fist style. The real collision has just begun. I saw Saitama's physical fist rushing into the sky in just a blink of an eye. After breaking through the limiter, Saitama can tear out a huge space crack with every move of his hand. His strength is extremely terrifying. Just within the trajectory of Saitama's movement, pitch-black space gaps appear directly, accompanied by lightning and thunder. The fighting will of both of them has risen to the extreme. Even a fierce dragon aura appeared directly around Saitama. Genos, who was watching in the world of One Punch Man, looked shocked when he saw the golden dragon on Saitama. Is this the height that teacher, you said before, you only dream of reaching? I really didn't expect that the teacher would reach such a state during the battle with Yi Yu. Teacher, you have broken through the last link of the limiter. Now, teacher, the rules and regulations in the world can no longer limit the teacher. Teacher Saitama can already reach the height of a god. Genos said excitedly. I had heard teacher Saitama tell me about the limiter before, saying that as long as I broke the limiter once, I could surpass the D who killed everyone in his village. And the teacher has broken all the limiters. When the people around heard Genos' words, they all showed curious eyes. Bangu came directly to Genos and spoke slowly. Genos, what is the limiter you are talking about? The bald cape man broke the last layer of limiter and can reach the height of the gods. What do these mean? Bang Ji-yu answered everyone's doubts one by one. Genos spoke up. Genos showed a serious look and opened Shikai to everyone in the Hero Association. The so-called limiter is simply the limit of ordinary human strength. Of course, I mean ordinary humans. Among our humans, there are people who can break the limiter, allowing their own strength to reach the next level. Every time you break the limiter, it's a qualitative leap, a radical change. Theoretically speaking, Saitama-sensei has broken all the limiters now. Saitama-sensei is now the strongest. No one can surpass Saitama-sensei. Genos said excitedly. Now the people in the Hero Association completely understood. They really didn't expect that the guy in the bald cape could be so scary. Limiters, they never broke them once. And Saitama, the bald devil, actually broke all the limiters. One can imagine how much effort Saitama put in to reach this state. So, our One Punch Man world is going to win. Atomic Warrior said cautiously. After all, the strength Yi Yu showed was too terrifying, and he was afraid that Saitama would fail in the end. Genos' eyes became more serious. Whether we win or not, it's hard to say. After all, Yi Yu is not from the same dimension as us. I wonder how many times a person can break the limiter in their world. If in Yi Yu's world, Yi Yu breaks the limiter more times than teacher Saitama, I think Yi Yu will still win the final victory. Genos said very reluctantly. There is really no way, mainly because the 5 huge Conqueror's giant balls that Yi Yu released before brought Genos too much shock. Yi Yu's strength gave Genos the feeling of surpassing the gods. Therefore, Genos doesn't dare to draw random conclusions now. Everything still depends on the battle between Yi Yu and teacher Saitama. After hearing Genos' words, the faces of everyone around him turned white. They, the heroes of the Hero Association, know better than anyone else what Genos' words mean. Saitama has broken all the limiters in their One Punch Man world, which means that Saitama's own strength has reached the ceiling of their One Punch Man world. Not even gods can surpass Saitama's power. But, even so, Saitama, a terrifying guy, may not be a devilish opponent like Yi Yu. Because Yi Yu is not from their world. Maybe Yi Yu possesses power that surpasses the strongest person in their world. Although he was a little unwilling in his heart, he faced Yi Yu's terrifying combat power. Even though it brings a sense of oppression, they still have to accept this possibility. One by one, they had no choice but to look at the picture in the sky again, with their hearts pounding, waiting for the final result to come. Yes, they have a strong premonition in their hearts that this battle has come to an end. When people in the Hokage world saw this scene, they also had the same feeling as in the One Punch Man world. This battle has come to an end. Uchiha Madara had a solemn look on his face and his lips trembled slightly. I think the final winner this time will still be Yi Yu. As the pretentious king of the Hokage world, Uchiha Madara has always believed in the principle of obeying whoever defeats him. So this time, Uchiha Madara is still on Yi Yu's side. Uzumaki Naruto looked at the battle on the aerial screen and opened his mouth wide. It's really unbelievable. In another dimension, there is someone who can fight Yi Yu.